those are indeed the shooters. And as you heard from Paul Contreras, a gun fell out of that guy's hand or out of his jacket sleeve after he was tackled and he was fleeing. So pretty good chance that he had something to do with the violence that occurred, that he was one of the perpetrators. And so just one wonders again, I mean, I don't want to preordain what Kansas City law enforcement will or won't do, but remember the mayor of Kansas City is a Democrat.
Right.
Very much like the Democrats and that are in charge of most of America's major cities. And we know how these things are handled depending on the truth of the situation, including the truth of the assailants. For example, Lakewood Church, that Joel Osteen church shooting over the weekend. That regardless whether this had happened yesterday in Kansas City or not, that story was going to get marginalized very quickly because of the profile of the shooter. And Houston police seemed more interested in the pronouns by which the assailant ascribed than they were about the particulars of the attack that left her son dead. She's a woman who identifies as a man. That's her son. She's a biological mother, her son.
Who was going through a divorce, who had Free Palestine on her weapon, which if she went to Palestine, they'd throw her off the roof of a building. But okay.
She was also had an ICE detainer back in 2010. She's an El Salvadorian immigrant.
Yep.
We don't know much about that. So, I mean, all of these things, as we've talked about many times, as all of these terrible events that we've covered on this show, we've been compelled to, the intersectional score of the assailants matters. The Nashville, Tennessee school shooter, any of the incidents involving those of the alphabet army on the gender identity spectrum treated differently. I mean, it's almost as if the press is disappointed. They're rooting for events like this to happen and for the assailant to fit their narrative about white supremacy, of course. And so, unfortunately, this is not just a public safety matter and policy related to public safety, although that's part of it because of who's in charge of these cities and their particular attitude toward public safety. We know this all too well in Chicago.
And I got to tell you, I stated
but also
that,
but also the identitarian politics of it and the way that the press treats it, thus what the public understands about these events.
Well, I stayed at a hotel right across the street from that Union Station for a volleyball tournament, and that is a shady part of town. So I kept thinking all day, like, God, is this a gang-related shooting, or is this domestic terrorism, or are these people that we let in through the border that I mean, Christopher Wray did say that there is going to be, be on alert. Everybody be on alert because we could be under attack by terrorists.
Well, we have no idea. That's the point, is law enforcement needs to be transparent in what they understand about what went down and the motivations and the particular backgrounds of the individuals in custody, particularly when they move from suspect to charging, if that occurs with all due speed. Bill and Glen Ellen, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I saw 3 photos of what might be the 3 suspects, and if what I think holds up, you're going to find that these guys had long criminal histories of violence, felon, public shooter. It looks like these guys were in the crowd, saw each other, couldn't control their impulses, and started shooting at each other in the crowd, which is why it went down the way it did. But we'll see when it happens.
Possibly.
I'm telling you, if it is this way, they're going to be the Democrat Party judges and prosecutors let these guys go over and over again, and now they have this. And this story is going to disappear if that's true. It's done.
Thanks for the call, Bill. All right, coming up at 5:38, returning to a story we began discussing yesterday because there's an update on it. The end of ShotSpotter in Chicago, 5:38.
Yeah, is it really the end? But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
40 degrees, Amy and Dan, at 5:30 on AM 560. The Answer. Lawyers for former President Donald Trump will be in court, both in New York and Atlanta in a few hours. Trump is expected to appear in a Manhattan courtroom this morning regarding allegations tied to a hush money case in Atlanta. Lawyers will be in court regarding allegations that the former president was part of a scheme to overturn Georgia's 2020 election results. The victim who died in yesterday's shooting following the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade and rally has been identified as a DJ, Lisa Lopez Galvin, part of a nonprofit radio station in and around KC, and one of more than 20 who were shot. Fan Cade Collins was there when the violence erupted.
And once the crowd dispersed away, we saw multiple bodies laying there with gunshot wounds.
Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves.
Officers responded to the area, took 2 people into custody, and also immediately rendered life-sustaining aid to those victims.
Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas says Wednesday was supposed to be a day of joy.
We went out today, like everyone in Kansas City, looking to have a celebration. That celebration was marred by a shooting today.
Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City says it's treating 12 victims, most of them children with gunshot wounds. Warnings about a serious national security threat is coming from the House Intelligence Committee. Various reports say the threat is related to Russian space technology. Here's Fox's Brooke Singman.
House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Turner sounding the alarm on what he calls a serious national security threat. And he's calling on President Biden to, quote, declassify all information relating to this threat so that Congress, the administration, and our allies can openly discuss the actions necessary to respond to this threat. Sources tell me that the threat does concern Russian capability, noting the potential seriousness is grave, but it's not immediate. If Russia did put nukes in space, it would break the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, which bans nuclear weapons in outer space.
Fox's Brooke Singman in Washington. Vandalism took place Wednesday at the National Archives in Washington, D.C. A pair of climate protesters arrested after dumping powder over the case containing the U.S. Constitution. It was undamaged. Body cam footage of an officer-involved shooting in the North Lawndale neighborhood last year is now public.
You can be good, man, okay? Just relax.
26-year-old Javante Kindred was shot by a patrol officer who said Kindred was carrying a gun, and that was confirmed by body camera footage. Prosecutors continue their felony case against Kindred. COPA is still investigating as well. Another attempt is being made to make medically assisted suicide legal in Illinois. The End-of-Life Options for Terminally Ill Patients Act was introduced in the Senate by Assistant Majority Leader Linda Holmes.
If they get a diagnostic exam from a doctor who tells them they have less than 6 months to live, they have the option of requesting a prescription that they can take themselves.
10 states have authorized medical aid in dying. The Bears' Arlington Heights property value still about $192 million. That, according to the Cook County Board of Review, the Bears bought the property for upwards of $197 million. The decision by the county leaves the property's previous owners on the hook for the property tax bill from 2023. Cavaliers pull away from the Bulls in the final minute in a 108-105 win. Blackhawks take on Pittsburgh tonight. White Sox busy on day one of spring training, signing 3-time All-Star Mike Moustakas to their roster. The news, a service of Turnkey.pro. Their team of veteran consultants know how to reduce costs and grow new revenue streams, all without having to hire on-site professionals. Turnkey has solutions for your business. Visit Turnkey.pro. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka picks apart the border bill.
In terms of the limitations, the numbers of illegals, 5,000 a day, that you're permitted when this bill is signed to let into America, you can't include people who are from other countries than Canada or Mexico, right? Non-contiguous, which is interesting because most of the illegals aren't actually coming from Mexico right now.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Success. It's discipline, it's teamwork, it's the drive and confidence and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best of each of us made better by the best in all of us. It's what Stiefel has been doing for over 130 years. And it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management and investment banking firms in the industry. Stifel, where success meets success. Find a financial advisor at stifel.com. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost. There is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
This is Dennis Prager, and now a truly exciting new benefit. My monthly online video get-together for Pragertopia Plus members only. For an hour each month, get an exclusive chance to ask me anything. I'll be answering your questions. I've never done this. Submit your questions for me at Pragertopia.com. This is our chance to connect like never before. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code RADIO for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's promo code RADIO.
5:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of Remke's Garage. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians, Remke's Garage is your Sprinter, diesel, and Toyo tire headquarters. Visit Remke'sGarage.com. Schedule your inspection today. Southside, an accident, 71st and Halstead. Traveling in Kenosha, Wisconsin this morning, an accident northbound on 41 or 94, if you will, at Highway KR this morning. I-80 westbound between 183rd and Ridgeland, a big jam. Traveling on the Bishop Ford, south end beginning to gum up as you approach the Dan Ryan merge this morning. Outbound on the Dan Ryan, in the locals, the off-ramp to Pershing is closed with an accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy, shower in spots, especially this morning. Sun could break out by 2 or 3 this afternoon and a high of 41. Partly cloudy and 27. Overnight, snow tomorrow. Light rain and 41 at O'Hare. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So updating the story about the end of ShotSpotter in Chicago, not re-upping the contract, BLM Brandon announced. I feel a panic attack coming on because I don't need it. Can put that $8-9 million a year to better use, funding violence interrupters, his friends, so forth. But, you know, they were going to extend the contract beyond the DNC just to be on the safe side, which, of course, led to the obvious questions from aldermen. Well, if you need it through the DNC, then why don't we need it altogether? And if we don't need it, then why do we need it tomorrow? Well, the folks at ShotSpotter get a say in this, too, and people forgot. Jason Lee, who is one of BLM Brandon's advisors.
He kind of runs the show, don't you think?
Certainly one of them, yeah. They talked about the extension. This was a thoughtful policy decision. There's foresight that was used in coming to this conclusion. Of course, these are uber competent people. And Jason Lee, as was queried about the timing of this, The policy decision is to make sure there's time for this orderly transition.
Yeah, right.
ShotSpotter is integrated into certain police activities. The Chicago Police Department needs time to get officers ready for transition. You don't want to have an abrupt discontinuity of a platform that's being used widely across 12 districts. So that was the right policy decision. One, to move away from ShotSpotter, but to do so in a way that doesn't create upheavals or disruptions in operations. Well, gosh, Jason, I know you couldn't see this coming. I mean, who could? And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but ShotSpotter said, no, we're not interested in extending it for another 6 months beyond the DNC. It's done. Our
Friday.
service is over as of tomorrow at midnight.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick question. Yeah, Marianne Ahern at NBC5, she broke that story that, we're done. You don't want us, then we don't want you. And we're going to stop it at midnight. And Chicago is not going to be a safer place. This is a horrific idea. I spoke to more cops yesterday. It's like, people will bleed out. This is all we have. I mean, this is, they can call 911, but things get lost in the phone call. If we see it right away, whatever district we're at, we just go to the scene.
Yeah, well, the orderly transition is all carefully planned. We have a handle on these things. Really, it turns out, per the terms of the contract, as I understand it, there was already 2 contract extensions. There was no provision for another contract extension, so it was either renew or walk, and they chose to walk. So not only was this, forgetting the policy import of this, they knew this contract was up and there was no room for another extension. So they knew this in advance of of this moment, because they knew that after they extended it on a temporary basis last time, you got 2 extensions and then that's it. You either re-up or you walk. They knew that. So, yes, the combination of the incompetence with the ideological. But again, all of the hue and cry from certain quarters, that is offset by the celebration in other quarters. I mean, it's not just BLM Brandon, that's...
Right. Other progressives are excited about that. I don't know what they're excited for. I don't know what why they thought ShotSpotter was racist. They said it's mostly predominantly black neighborhoods. No, we have a ShotSpotter, and we have shootings at Ashland and Irving. We had a gangbanger, a 16 years old Asian kid was shot. That was last year, but ShotSpotter helped detect what was going on. But shots were being fired the whole way. It was mutual combatants, Dan. I don't know if you remember that one from Irving, the lake from 90 all the way to Irving and Ashland, 70 rounds fired. So a lot of ShotSpotters were going up. But real quick, Jason Lee said, yes, the DNC factored into the decision, but he refused to rule out the possibility of hiring a new gunshot detection vendor to replace ShotSpotter. Well, you better hurry up because you're on the clock, buddy.
Yeah, right. Here's Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosa. He's one of the members of the Communist Caucus. He likes to push around the elderly black female alderhumans. Right. You remember? Yeah. I applaud the grassroots organizers, particularly the black and brown youth, who continue championing true community safety and whose advocacy makes today's sound public safety decision possible. So you have to understand that statement from Carlos Ramirez Rosa, that is the prevailing opinion by the Chicago power structure. So you can talk to police, and you can hear from Snelling, and you can hear from Catanzara, and you can hear from paramedics, and you can hear from, certain quarters of the city, the business community, so on and so forth. Does not matter. What is unclear to you about who is in charge of the city? It should be as clear to, people are just wrestling with the new Jerusalem downtown, aren't they? Mm-hmm. It is as clear, and it was during the election, which is why, not to be immodest, I told you Brandon Johnson would win, and I gave you the margin. It was as clear what's been happening in the city over the last 20 years, and the last 10 in particular, leading to that moment last year in the mayoral election, and leading to these moments that we've been documenting. It is as clear who's in charge as it was when Daley and the Irish were in charge. It should be that clear to you. It's not.
I mean,
people don't believe it.
We had 44,000 incidents of gunfire detected just last year. All right, so to suggest it doesn't work, what was that, 44,000 fireworks going off or cars backfiring? No, it was 44,000 incidents of gunfire just in 1 year alone. We've had this program in place for 6 years.
And again, that's all really interesting. How is the reality that they're creating, which runs afoul of the reality that people are living, how is it any different than what's happened previously? You'll remember Mayor Daley, Richard M., led the charge for gun bans. That was his response to violent crime, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, the 25-year gun ban we had.
What wasn't that? Am I misremembering? What didn't we get jawboning from a relatively inarticulate little Irishman for most of the last 40 years on the topics? The policy was different. How? No, it wasn't different. The distribution of the spoils of office was different. That's it. Yeah, the philosophical disposition to be transactional as opposed to ideological, that's a bit different. Yesterday versus today. But I mean, John Cass used to write these columns in the Tribune, you'll remember, where when Daley was asked about clout, political clout being used when it came to this job or that contract. What cloud, what are you talking about, cloud? This is the sort of response you got from the power structure under Daley and Tiny Dancer. And now he doesn't understand what's going on in the city. Sure he does. His agenda, not your agenda. But are you confused about who's in charge still? Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. Then Brennan Johnson's just going to sit there and talk about how this company is run by a bunch of Republican right-wing extremists, racists, and
MAGA cultists.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And when that, more people's brains are splattered all over the place, and the police can't find, the scumbags that are doing this, that's going to fit right into Brandon Johnson's program. More killing, more blood, more gangs, more violence, more drugs. It just never ends. It's unbelievable. Have a good one, guys.
Yeah. Right.
It's the only hope we had.
And I'm sorry, people are going to be up in arms about this now as opposed to, I don't know, at any particular point in the last, say, 40 years? Because why? This is the hill that people are going to die on, ShotSpotter? No pun intended in that case. This is it. And there's going to be some sort of revolt? Do people believe that?
No, there's not going to be a revolt.
Right. So this is just the bitching du jour. About
what else are we going to do?
About the policy du jour.
I mean...
No, right. There's nothing anybody can do except bitch. No, I know that, I know that comforts those who do nothing but bitch. Fine. It's fine by me. I'm just here to describe it.
I know you said yesterday you got off the boat, but did you get off the boat because people you love, like your family and friends, are still on the boat?
Yeah, I know.
So are you off the boat?
Well, I mean, I'm not rowing in the. Well,
I know it's a metaphor for something, but I just was
I'm
thinking
interested.
about it yesterday.
I'm interested in rowing a boat.
Okay.
Not sitting in one. And the people I'm talking about are just interested in sitting in a boat in the middle of the sea and saying, "Hey, when's somebody going to do something about our situation?" And then a Coast Guard comes by and they wave them off. And then a private boater, to continue this torture metaphor, and then a private boater comes by and they wave them off. You're too rich. That's a rich man's boat. Get out of here. We don't want to be saved.
Yeah.
We don't want to be saved by you. You're a white supremacist. You shouldn't have that boat. I should have that boat.
Oh, wow. Wow.
They scream at the people trying to help them, and they ridicule them, and they say, you're the problem. Okay, well, then sit in your boat. Sit there and bob up and down. I'm going back to shore.
Yeah.
So when my point is to say, which I've said all along, is as soon as somebody wants to do something for themselves, there are people that are willing to help. But you want to sit back and watch people try to save others from themselves without their help while being ridiculed and Monday morning quarterbacked? There's not a lot of interest for that, surprisingly. Myself included, because I've done that thing before. And the response you get is, you did this wrong, you're this, you're beholden to that. Okay, fine. Just sit in your boat and bob up and down. I hope you have enough food, water.
Text message, Dan and Amy, please explain how this technology is racist.
What do you mean it's racist? Everything's racist. It's racist because it catches a disproportionate percentage of black and brown, particularly black, young men shooting.
Right. Even though they're the ones that are doing the shooting.
Doesn't matter. Anything that is overrepresentative of a demographic, particularly the black demographic, is inherently racist. What do you mean you don't know how it's racist? Everything is racist for that exact reason. They just rinse and repeat it. If you don't, I mean, how do you respond? How do you even think about responding or trying to upend a power structure that you pretend not to understand, or I mean, you're willfully blind if you don't understand it? They couldn't be more clear. They couldn't be more explicit about their views, their program, their ideology. I mean, did you see this movement? This is going to be the next one.
What? Well, what now?
Let's get on board for the rerun.
What, the rerun?
Not rerun.
Hey, don't make me do my rerun.
Not Fred Berry. Reran for Blacks. Reranforblacks.com. What is reran, you ask?
What is reran, Dan?
Right. Why does Dan Proft, Florida resident, know about this, and very few people listening, much less anybody in your circle of friends, knows about this?
All right, reranforblacks.com.
Reconstruction Era Reparation Act now.
Oh.
Not tomorrow. Now. A Reconstruction Era Reparation Act now. Reran. Created last year by black Chicagoans because they're losing their homes due to the increase of county and city property taxes. Well, welcome to the party. Actually, and it's honkies like me who've been documenting the taking of people's property through the confiscatory property tax system, particularly in places like the Southland, South Cook County, for decades. But I'm the white supremacist, and the Reran group are the heroes. Okay, so here's what their solution. You want to hear the Reran 2023 solution?
I'm waiting.
Black Chicagoans pay no property taxes as part of reparations.
Yeah, that's not going to sit well with a lot of people.
I can't wait till BLM Brandon takes it up. I think it's a great idea. Why? Distribute the spoils of power to your constituents the same way that mayors of yore have done. What's the difference? What's the difference between giving, GF Structures and Michael Tadden sweetheart deals and just doing it for an entire community? It's probably cheaper. The Reran program. Yeah. So that's where that city is at. That's the response. To the extent there's any organized response, as far as I can discern, but please feel free to correct me, because I know everybody gets excited and these outlets pick this up. And I appreciate the Tio Hardemans of the world and others. But I mean, the idea that there's some revolt going on because Tio Hardeman says something that is not consistent with the orthodoxy of the power structure, and then we pick it up and Breitbart picks it up and so on and so forth. Oh, Democrats are revolting against. No, they're not. They are not. Here's what they're doing. They're doing Reran 2023. No property taxes for blacks as part of reparations. That's the response. The response on the mic is, oh, there's a revolt against the power structure over there. No, there's not. There's a revolt that says, we better get ours. We're first in line. That's fine if you want to give other people stuff too, but we're first and we get more. And you think that's represents some sort of threat to the current power structure? No, it represents a endorsement of the approach. That's what it represents. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for grabbing the call. Yeah, I can put some meat on the bone, I think, for you as far as understanding why the leftist people in charge in these cities, want to get rid of that shot spotter. My family affiliation here with members in the police department has let me get into police stations, see it. They've showed it to me how it works and all that, and ride alongside it. That system is very elaborate. It's tied in with audio and visual. Immediately the system hears the shots. It can identify what caliber of gun, everything, and then they can immediately look and see on the visual and that. So they could. This helps tremendously in solving crimes. It's not just people bleeding out. They can see things that are going on because
we get it. We get it. Thanks for the call, Craig. We get it. It's a tool for police. It's a tool for police to catch criminals. That is not the agenda of the power structure, the civilian power structure in the city of Chicago. What is unclear about that? Because then police catch criminals, and all of a sudden Kim Foxx has to do something about those criminals that have been referred for charges, and it just creates a big burden. And remember, we're the defund the police crowd.
Right.
Did you forget? We want social workers to replace uniformed police. We want alternative sentencing. We want no cash bail. What is unclear about the agenda? Don't you get it? This is going to impede the police's ability to catch criminals. Don't you get it? Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Cooler weather is here. Is your vehicle ready for the winter? Remke's Garage, your diesel engine and transmission specialist, can inspect your vehicle so you won't end up on the side of the road. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. The shop at Remke's Garage is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. When was the last time you changed your filters, checked your batteries, inspected your tires, belts and hoses, or flushed your coolant? Be prepared. Bring your Mercedes Sprinter, Ford Power Stroke, Dodge Cummins, Chevy Duramax, or Isuzu diesel truck to Remke's Garage and have your tires inspected as well. Ask about the Fleetworthy commercial-grade Toyo Celsius Cargo all-weather tire. The premier tire to accommodate the rainy, icy, snowy, and cold weather we encounter here in the Chicagoland area. Don't get stuck. Remke's Garage is your diesel and Toyo tire headquarters. Visit remkesgarage.com. That's REMKES garage.com and schedule your inspection today.
AM 560. The Answer.
By the way, on the crime beat, I just wanted everybody to know, Andy Samberg over at the FBI's Brooklyn 99 field office in Chicago.
Yeah.
The field office is now secure again after this dude broke into the FBI's Chicago field office on the west side twice.
Not once, but twice. It's always better the second time around, right, Dan? You know the ins and outs, how to get in.
The FBI's field office, they can't keep criminals out, but they're going to aid the local to make Chicago. Okay, sure.
All right.
Whatever you say.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
No, just a little over a week away to the South Carolina primary, so we'll have an update on what Trump and Haley are saying on the stump at 6:06.
And we want to hear about your golf game. Did you embarrass the family? We'll explain. Today we're going to have drizzly conditions, showers in many areas, a high of 41 degrees at 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Trying to make sense of another mass shooting. CJ Papa, Fox News.
All of a sudden we hear gunshots. We thought they were fireworks, and then everybody just starts running right at us.
The horrific experience for that woman and all the other supporters of the Kansas City Chiefs gathering again to celebrate the team's victory in the Super Bowl, but the cheers turning to tears when gunfire rings out. Fox's Bill Malugin reports.
Authorities say as of right now, at least 3 people are in custody in connection with the shooting. They've also recovered at least 1 gun on scene. The motive and what initially caused all this is still under investigation. A local hospital in Kansas City says they've been treating 11 10 children, 9 of which had gunshot wounds. Thankfully, we got some good news on that front. The hospital said that all of those kids are expected to survive and make a full recovery.
Lisa Lopez Galvan, a popular local radio DJ and mama too, was identified as the person who was killed in the mass shooting. Calls for President Biden to declassify intel related to what's been described as a serious national security threat.
House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Turner sounding the alarm on what he calls a serious national security threat. And he's calling on President Biden to, quote, declassify all information relating to this threat so that Congress, the administration, and our allies can openly discuss the actions necessary to respond to this threat. Sources tell me that the threat does concern Russian capability, noting the potential seriousness is grave, but it's not immediate. If Russia did put nukes in space, it would break the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, which bans nuclear weapons in outer space.
That's Fox's Brooks Singman. 5 people killed in a missile strike on the Russian city of Belgrade. That's according to the local governor. The Israeli military saying today it has credible intelligence that Hamas held hostages at Nasser Hospital, and terrorists appeared to be operating from within the hospital as well. America is listening to Fox News.
In Chicago, 40 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Body cam footage of an officer-involved shooting in the North Lawndale neighborhood last year is out now in public. 26-year-old Javante Kindred was shot by a patrol officer who said Kindred was carrying a gun that was later borne out by that body camera footage. Kindred's family says he complied with the officer's commands and got rid of the weapon before the officer opened fire. Prosecutors continue their felony case against Kindred. COPA is still investigating. A Highland Park woman is charged with human trafficking after holding 2 women and 2 children against their will. Lake County Sheriff's Office arrested 34-year-old Gladys Ibanez Olea this week after receiving a tip. According to reports, a 19-year-old woman and her 2-year-old son and a 22-year-old woman and her 15-year-old brother were all rescued. All 4 of the victims were reportedly illegally escorted into the U.S. in July of last year. The lawyer for former Northwestern football coach Pat Fitzgerald is requesting an earlier trial date for their wrongful termination case. Attorney Dan Webb says his client can't get another job until they put the hazing scandal behind them. Fitzgerald was suspended for 2 weeks, then fired last year after 17 years as head coach of the Wildcats. Residents in the southwest suburbs expressed concerns after 2 of Illinois' biggest water service providers requested rate hikes in the tens to hundreds of millions of dollars. Illinois American Water, which services several suburbs in northwest Cook County, as well as portions of DuPage and Kane, asked the Illinois Commerce Commission for a $152 million rate increase on Wednesday. Aqua, Illinois, followed suit, asking the ICC for a $19 million rate increase. Chicago Teachers Union has thrown its support behind a nominee for Illinois' 7th Congressional District in the upcoming March primary. Melissa Conyers-Irvin has been endorsed over incumbent Danny Davis. Chicago sports, Cleveland pulled away late. A win over the Bulls in the final minute, 108-105. DeMar DeRozan dropped in 24. Bulls head to the All-Star break. Their next game is next Thursday. Blackhawks aim to avoid an 8th loss in a row when they host the Penguins at the United Center tonight. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
If you have a bank account, pay attention. The U.S. banking system is once again under extreme stress, but there is an easy way to protect yourself. Gold. Contact Noble Gold Investments today and safeguard your family's financial future. As a thank you for opening a qualified account, they'll give you a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin. Just use the promo code GOLD. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Pure Talk believes in American values and that free should mean exactly that, free. Well, switch to Pure Talk today and you'll get a free Samsung 5G smartphone. Now, qualifying plans start at just $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, and, of course, mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk, claim your eligibility for your free brand new Samsung 5G smartphone. Start saving on wireless today and switch to my cell phone company, Pure Talk.
The following is a paid political announcement.
I'm Dr. Kent Mercado, and I'm running for Congress in the 11th District. I'm a physician, attorney, humanitarian, father, and husband. And I have had the privilege of speaking with several thousand residents, and I've heard your concerns. And they are kitchen table issues: the economy, education, safety, and secure borders, access to quality and affordable physical and mental health care. I'm here to be your voice. Please vote for Dr. Kent Mercado for Congress on March 19th in the Republican primary.
This message was paid for and approved by Dr. Kent Mercado for Congress.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth, talks about the importance of tax planning in retirement.
A qualified financial planner can take you through all the steps to show you every single legal way you can use to reduce and minimize your state income taxes across the board, so that, again, you keep more of your money and your family keeps more of your money.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
6:07, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Proft University. Right now, Edens, Kennedy, Ike, and Stevenson are okay. Dan Ryan, outbound side, an accident as you roll on the southbound side near 47th is being pulled out of your way. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AM 560 Weather Center. Here's Steve Williams.
Breezy with a shower in the area this morning early, otherwise partly sunny. Afternoon high today 41. Partly cloudy tonight, low 27. Clouds, a bit of snow tomorrow. Little or no accumulation, high 32. Partly sunny, breezy, chilly day on Saturday, the high 30. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Light rain at O'Hare and Midway. There may be snow showers just north of the Wisconsin border this morning. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So we're just a little over a week away from the primary in South Carolina. I don't know if you've been paying attention because it's not going to be much of a primary election, at least not for Nikki Haley. It's a week from Saturday, February 24th. So they're both out there on the stump and on the talkies. Nikki Haley had sort of a moment with John Roberts on Fox News where he sort of put it to her. What is the point of your candidacy is essentially what he asked. Take a listen.
At the moment, it looks like you're going to go into that contest and lose badly in your home state, which would forever be a cloud over your political career. Why go through with it?
So first of all, that's what they said before New Hampshire, and I got 43% of the vote. Our polls do not show that. That is not what we're seeing, and we're going to close that gap. But more than that, you're asking me about my political career. That's the problem with politics. Donald Trump's worried about his image. Joe Biden's worried about his image. I'm not worried about mine. I'm worried about the future of America. I'm worried about my kids and what country they grow up in. I'm worried about your kids and what country they grow up in. This isn't personal. It's not about me or what happens to me. This is about the fact that if we don't see how bad this can get, it's already bad. If we don't become part of the solution and realize that we can change it, that's the problem. I will say again, don't complain about what happens in a general election if you don't play in this primary, because Donald Trump cannot win a general election. He's already said he's going to spend more time in court than on the campaign trail. He spent $50 million of campaign contributions towards his personal court cases. The RNC is broke. We Republicans will not win if you continue down this path. The reason Donald Trump wants me to get out so badly is because he wants help paying his court fees. That is not the job of the RNC. That's not the job of taxpayers.
All right. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. What else was she supposed to say? I mean, she could have said, yeah, you're right. I'm dropping out.
Well, I understand she's not going to say that, but,
Right.
You know, we need to be, I mean, it's all these, all this political cant. I mean, first of all, the idea that this is, you know, her newfound genuine concern for the future of the country under President Trump, under whom she served and applauded, is, well, strains the bounds of credulity, to be polite. That's number one. Number two, if we're not part of a solution to make the change, what is the solution? What is the change? I don't know. I'm the solution for change. And you impute into that phraseology whatever you'd like. Whatever you want. I mean, this is Obama-esque. Whatever you want, that's what I am. Whatever you think I am, that's positive, that's what I am. Where you think I'm aligned with you, I am. Because I'm the solution for the change that you want.
Text message, worry about your image too, Nikki. Please go away.
Well, she could limp on to March 2nd, to Super Tuesday, but I mean, or my March 9th. I think I'm a week off. But
okay, we'll get there.
But I mean,
she won't, but we'll be there.
I mean, do you understand? At the national level, Trump has a larger lead over Nikki Haley than Joe Biden has over Marianne Williamson, who is that mystic whose campaign is suspended. So, I mean...
Did that happened while I was off? I didn't know. I fell out of it.
Yeah, she's sorry.
Devastated, Dan.
She's not going to make it across the finish line this time around either. But, I mean, so it really, what is... The point is so that I can, I don't know, get bigger, better book deals and stay relevant. And if Trump loses, then I can say I told you so and try and make a comeback in 28. I mean, that's what's honest. That would be honest. I know you can't say that, but maybe you could come up with an actual rationale for your candidacy, like a vision for what America could be, where it could go, what we need to do to realize whatever vision she has. So something a little bit more than I'm the solution for the change you're seeking. That requires a little bit more definition, doesn't it? And the other piece of it, too, much like DeSantis, Trump can't win. Well, the problem with that line of argumentation is that he's winning.
Right.
I'm not saying, I can win by more. You know, he's winning, and he's winning in states that we didn't even think would be competitive going into this cycle, like Pennsylvania and Michigan. And they may turn out not to be. But right now he is. And Biden is flailing. And the perception, and I think there's a little bit too much overconfidence right now, the perception that is Biden can't win, which is why there's all these conspiracy theories out there about who's going to replace him that could win. So, I mean, it's just not credible. There's not enough evidence to support the claim that she's making. And then she gets off on this riff about the $50 million he spent in legal defense and so forth.
So
but that's right. But that's also saying, right, he has to, the point there is, and the way I receive it, and I'm sure a lot of Trump supporters do too, or Republicans in general, is, yeah, look what the left is doing to him. They've conjured up 4 phony indictments that have forced him to raise and spend $50 million and legal bills, and that doesn't even include the civil cases, and appear in court and spend all the time. That's wrong. That's wrong.
He's got to appear in court today with a Stormy Daniels thing.
Yeah, right. And
there's also a case in Fulton County where they might disqualify Fannie Willis. That's today too. So it's like you got to keep up every day, folks.
Yeah, but the messaging on that, like it's Trump's fault. Some of this you could argue is self-inflicted, but not to the extent that it should have risen to the level of criminal indictments. But I mean, do you understand how tone deaf that is? She's saying that kind of stuff against the backdrop of this blockbuster story we talked about yesterday. That, of course, the D.C. press corps is doing its best to ignore. Brought to us by Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger. And by the way, remember, Matt Taibbi is the guy who wrote the book Insane Clown President on Donald Trump. These are, we've had both on the show several times. Schellenberger, former leftist environmental activist. I mean, these are the Woodward and Bernsteins of the 21st century.
And God love them.
And they both
nobody cares about this missing binder.
And they both have no particular affinity for Trump, which I would think would enhance their credibility. But because they're saying the wrong things, it doesn't matter the quality of their work. It doesn't matter what they actually believe. It doesn't matter that they're doing reporting averse to their own political dispositions, which is something to consider. And so he's spending $50 million and this. Instead of focusing, Nikki Haley, the former U.S. ambassador to the UN and foreign policy chops because of her time in that post, and she just blithely ignores what's happening and what we know has happened with the deep state. And where's been the Nikki? You know, if you want me to give advice and counsel, Nikki Haley, where is Nikki Haley's definitive treatise on the deep state?
Yeah, she could use this platform that she has right now to talk about that. And she's not. She's like her head's in the sand.
Just to repeat this story because it's that important. So the Russian collusion investigation, everything that transpired in 2016 and for the first 3 years of Trump's presidency, the story is it wasn't something that the intel community happened upon. It was something that they invented and instigated from the outset. That's a big deal.
Obama, Hillary Clinton, John Brennan, they invented this and then presented it to the FBI and then presented it to the media. I mean, it was all, they're playing the FBI against the media and it was just all a big lie.
Schellenberger, not playing the FBI against the media, they were all were in on the manipulation game. I mean, certainly the media wasn't asking any untoward questions. They were just there to amplify whatever was coming out of this orb inside the intel community. Michael Schellenberger was on with Jesse Waters, as was Taibbi yesterday. Here, let him sort of recount the story that they did.
These are people that are close to the House intelligence investigation of how the Russia collusion hoax began. The story, as you mentioned, was that, we were just informed by foreign intelligence about this. Our sources tell us a very different story, which is that this was initiated by the U.S. government. It came from within the U.S. government's intelligence community, including the CIA, that they asked the so-called Five Eyes nations intelligence agencies, that's the other English-speaking nations, including Britain and Australia, to spy on 26 Trump associates, or at least they had a list of the 26 associates that were identified. This is new information. Some people have theorized about this and speculated about it. We feel very confident that our sources were in a position to know and are very credible in this report. And it's obviously a very serious allegation because this is illegal spying and it's illegal election interference.
Gosh, that doesn't sound like a crew that's going to save our democracy, does it?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
And now the next level. The next level is that one of the documents or binders that may have been in the possession of Trump that was confiscated when the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago was a binder containing documents that detailed what they did.
Yep. It incriminates the intelligence community for their illegal spying.
So, and maybe they've got Romney's binder full of women in there too. But the binder that Schellenberger, you'll hear him discuss. So, right, that if that was the predicate for the raid, which was the predicate for the criminal indictment of President Trump,
right,
then you want to talk about fruit of the poisonous tree. This all goes back to a fifth column action to exactly what Michael Schellenberger said: to spy illegally, to interfere with the 2016 and 2020, I would add, election illegally. When it persisted for 3 years into the Trump administration, that's interfering with the forthcoming election.
There has been widespread speculation that this binder was the reason or a reason for the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago, and we'll be discussing that tomorrow. But obviously, if this binder contains what we have been told that it contains, which may include raw intelligence, information showing that the U.S. government, the CIA and the intelligence community of the U.S. government, initiated the Russia collusion hoax, that it did not occur in the way that the official story, including the Durham investigation, had portrayed it, then that's extremely serious information. And it may be, if the FBI then went to go get it in order to continue the cover-up of this information, that obviously adds an even more dramatic wrinkle to this. Again, we'll have more to say about it tomorrow, but this is a huge, huge story. I mean, I've been thinking about it in the history of the United States of America. Have we ever had something like this where the intelligence community was weaponized against a political candidate and using our foreign allies to do it? I can't think of a more important or dramatic story.
God, they would do anything to take Trump down.
Involving foreign governments to interfere with the U.S. election for the purpose of rigging it for their candidate of choice. Right. Can you think of anything more serious? No, I can't. Is this getting the sort of airing it deserves? No.
Heck no.
It's not.
What instead, if it was vice versa? My God, it'd be all over the media.
And instead, where were Republicans yesterday? You got the Homeland Intel Committee Chairman Mike Turner talking about wanting to release information about a reported national security threat that involves a Russian nuke program to take out our satellites in space. Oh, really? So you don't want to talk about this? And by the way,
there's a mass shooting at a parade in Kansas City.
No. That is a domestic law enforcement issue, and it's a cultural issue. I'm talking about a republic. I'm talking about free and fair elections. If you don't have free and fair elections and you don't have religious freedom, you don't have a free society. And Mike Turner, and by the way, this is all against the backdrop of the push again to re-up Section 702 of the FISA Act to allow for basically the open-ended spying by these same law enforcement and intel agencies. Well, the FBI in particular, because they afforded themselves so well during the Russian collusion hoax, didn't they? I mean, come on. First of all, the Mike Turner sort of insinuation of a revelation is not anything that a lot of people don't know, and so he wants this to be more fully disclosed in the public so we can debate it. Why? Are we going to have a plebiscite about what to do about it? No. How about this? How about as it pertains to election integrity in a free society? And what are we getting from the Republican Party on this? Not a lot.
Crickets.
It's stunning. All the talk and again, frankly, for all the people who said the election was rigged and who I have said the suspicions about that and this, and we need to focus on this and that. This thing needs to be as amplified to the extent possible through all of the outlets that are even-handed. I don't even care if they're not even-handed. They're overtly conservative, honestly conservative, as opposed to dishonestly objective leftist news outlets that we know will do everything they can to suppress the story. And as you heard from Schellenberger, there's a follow-up article that's going to be posted on their outlets, Public, which is Schellenberger's, and Racket, which is Taibbi's Today. Joe in Hoffman Estates here on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. After watching the Democrat win that special election yesterday against Santos by 8 points, this election is actually kind of scary. I think the Democrats could actually win it. I mean, women were crawling over migrants and robbery victims to go vote for abortion. I don't think it's just a walk-in for Trump at all. What's your opinion?
It's not a walk-in. Thanks for the call. Public opinion is very fickle. This is the subject of forthcoming commentary in my Counterculture podcast. Remember how George H.W. Bush was cruising to re-election in the 92 campaign? Remember how the co-president from the 92 election was cruising to victory in the 2016 campaign? Public opinion is very fickle, and you're talking about swing voters in swing states who are malleable, to be generous. So the topic I've talked about before, the prospect that any of these trials that he's facing get to verdict and he's convicted of a felony and they have a $500 million ad campaign, we can't put a convicted felon in the White House, that's a wild card. And there's messaging on some of these other issues, including abortion, a bit of wild cards. Yeah, he's up in the swing states. But I mean, he's not lapping Biden the way he's lapped the GOP challengers. Absolutely right.
And just so you know, programming note: early voting begins today in Chicago for the March 19th election. Today. How much time? More than a month. So yeah, let's go. Because the longer you have a system open, the more vulnerable it becomes. But
well, I mean,
these are the sites in Cook County building.
Well, are there opposition candidates? I mean, there's no election integrity doesn't matter if there's no challenge, if there's no opposition candidates. Just the handpicked choices for offices from the established power structure, as far as I can tell.
I'm just kind of old school. I liked, voting day.
Yeah.
And it went from week to month. Now it's more than a month. And then on March 4th, all 50 city boards will be open for voting.
Right. I know. It's fun to pretend like this isn't a Soviet election in Chicago. I guess it's fun to pretend that. Matt Taibbi, also on Waters, as I mentioned. Here's what he had to say about this binder in their forthcoming reporting.
It's a difficult story because we heard multiple versions of what the binder is, how many binders there are. We heard there are as many as 3. But we do know a couple of concrete things. We know that only a share of the HPSI investigation ever got out. Of course, people are aware of the Nunes memo, which led to the investigation of abuses of FISA. We know that there was a report done into the origins of that intelligence community assessment, which supposedly never left a vault on the grounds of Langley. That's like a 17 to 20 page report that was confirmed by multiple sources. Apart from that, we were told there are numerous other investigative materials that may or may not be these binders that stories are referring to. But we know that there's a lot of stuff that didn't get out, that there were thousands of hours of investigation and their conclusions have not yet been declassified.
Yeah, we got a long way to go. And Republicans on the Hill should be beating the drum about this. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Varchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLLC.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I've been a clinical psychologist since 1991. I was licensed, and I love being a clinical psychologist because I like helping people. I tell people that Balance of Nature is a wonderful supplement because I truly trust in the product. I feel great, and because I feel great, I'm able to do everything that I want to do. I really love taking Balance of Nature.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk eco-supremacy with Rupert Darwall, 636. And we've got a new parody video song from Reason.com's Remy on the topic. We'll play that for you at 636, too.
And look who got stood up on Valentine's Day. We'll explain.
Sad story.
It is. But now let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
632 on AM 560, The Answer. As you've been talking about with Dan and Amy this morning, 3 are in custody after yesterday's shooting at the Kansas City Super Bowl victory rally. Police are searching for answers, starting with Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves.
The people who came to this celebration should expect a safe environment.
At least one person was killed, over 20 others injured as gunfire broke out among a crowd of thousands. Police have yet to determine a motive. Lawyers for former President Donald Trump will be in court both in New York and Atlanta today. Trump is expected to appear in a Manhattan courtroom. In Atlanta, Trump lawyers will focus on alleged misconduct by the prosecutor in that election interference case. A House Intelligence Committee member is warning about a very serious national security threat. Various reports say that threat is now related to Russian space technology. Speaker Mike Johnson says he sent the president a letter a month ago on the threat.
In response to that letter, a meeting is now scheduled tomorrow on this matter here at the Capitol with the Gang of Four and with the president's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan.
Ohio Republican Mike Turner said his committee made the information on the threat available to members of Congress and is now requesting the president declassify that information. Harvey Weinstein's attorneys are trying to overturn his rape conviction. They were before New York Appeals Court Wednesday, arguing the former movie mogul's conviction hinged on testimony that may have tainted the jury. Body cam footage of an officer-involved shooting in the North Lawndale neighborhood last year is now public.
Okay? Just relax.
26-year-old Javante Kindred was shot by a patrol officer who says Kindred was carrying a gun. That was later confirmed by that same body camera footage. Prosecutors continue their felony case against Kindred. COPA is still investigating the police officer. A Highland Park woman is charged with human trafficking after holding 2 women and 2 children against their will. Lake County sheriffs arrested 34-year-old Gladys Olea this week after receiving a tip last month. According to reports, a 19-year-old woman and her son, a 22-year-old woman and her brother were all rescued after a search warrant was conducted at the Highland Park residence. All 4 victims were illegally escorted into the U.S. in July of last year. Cavaliers pull away from the Bulls in the final minute of a 108-105 win. Blackhawks aim to avoid an 8th loss in a row when they host Pittsburgh at the UC tonight. The White Sox adding a 3-time All-Star Mike Moustakas to the team's roster, and look who's still on the roster. White Sox starter Dylan Cease.
At the end of the day, I just wanted to focus on what I have to do to perform. I really just want to perform. So wherever I'm at, it's all kind of the same process. Do what you can to be your best. And I'm happy to be here. I'm grateful to be a Major League Baseball player. I love Chicago.
And Northwestern tonight looks for their third straight win when they visit Rutgers. The news, a service of Indeed.com. Temperatures getting low, but demand remaining high. You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place, right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
If you listen to the mainstream media and the Democrats, you'd think it was a sin to be black and conservative. Well, John Anthony blows up that perception every week on Black and Right. Join John this Saturday afternoon at 4 when he pushes back against the left and its regressive, progressive agenda that tries to dictate how people should think or feel about politics. Listen to Black and Right this Saturday afternoon at 4, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
QC Kinetics patient Robert Patterson, a veteran and business owner, struggled at work and in the gym with chronic, agonizing shoulder pain.
Those injuries just continue to nag, and if you don't treat them, they just get worse. And I just kind of abused my body for a long time, and it finally had said enough is enough.
That's okay, because QC Kinetics tells your pain, hey, enough is enough. Their regenerative treatments bring you relief by helping restore and repair damaged tissue with no drugs, no downtime, and best of all, no surgery.
I was able to exceed the goals that I had previously attained in the gym. It was absolutely worth its weight in gold, so I could continue to live life without limitation.
Ready to get lasting relief from your joint pain? Call QC Kinetics to learn more about how natural biologic treatments can get you lasting results. Call now. It's a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Retirement Outlook.
If your retirement account is mostly stocks or bonds, listen closely. The future of your savings may be more uncertain than ever before. Hi, I'm Paul Stone, CEO of Colonial Metals. The sad truth is, our government continues to eat away at our freedoms and security. In economic times like these, run around the flagpole by lunatics in Washington, I look to the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver that you own. At Colonial Metals, we specialize in helping folks with IRAs and 401ks and other retirement accounts move their savings into physical gold and silver. If you'd like a free gold investment kit, give us a call today at 820-800-8000. My team is standing by, ready to rush a free gold investment kit to you. You may also qualify for $7,500 in free silver and a free safe. Call 820-800-8000 now. That's 820-800-8000.
Colonial Metals is not a financial advisor. Consult with your advisor before investing.
That's 820-800-8000.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-280-6565. That's 1-800-280-6565. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-280-6565. That's 1-800-280-6565.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Is your old basement dragging you back in time? It's time to break free and embrace the future with Forever Remodeling. Whether you're yearning for a cozy family haven, a home office, the ultimate game night arena, or even a stunning new basement bathroom, Forever Remodeling has you covered. Don't let your basement linger in the past. Make it unforgettable. Contact Forever Remodeling today at 847-809-3355 or visit us online at foreverremodeling.com. We're your partners in crafting extraordinary stress-free basements.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code RADIO for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's promo code RADIO.
6:40. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start on the Ike, where there is an accident on the exit ramp inbound on the off-ramp to Mannheim. They're pulling a semi out of the ditch there. It is slowing up the main line just a bit. Stevenson in right now, 36 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Bishop Ford and I-57 stop and go into the Ryan merge. 22 in from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. 2 right lanes blocked with a bad accident reported westbound I-80 between Kedzie and Ridgeland. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Breezy and a shower in spots in your forecast this morning, and then some sun by the afternoon, a high of 41. Currently light rain and 42. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and as you heard Mike Scott reporting, a couple of members of the Climate Apocalypse gang showed up at the National Rotunda yesterday and spread red powder all over themselves and over the casing enclosed in which is the United States Constitution, and then, prattled on with the sort of speechifying you might hear from a member of the Socialist Spice Girls.
We are determined to foment a rebellion. We will not be held accountable to laws in which we have no voice or representation. This country is founded on the conditions that all men are created equally and endowed with the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're calling for all people to have all these rights, not just wealthy white men. We all deserve clean air, water, food, and a livable climate.
Yeah. And we're here to launch a rebellion. That sounds like an insurrection. I hope they get charged with seditious conspiracy by Jack Smith. Give me a break. But this is what you're dealing with. And you see it where they superglue themselves to the courts of sporting events and expressways and so forth.
And throwing soup on paintings.
So they're just sort of the public-facing expression of the idiocy that a lot of other respectable people subscribe to. This was the subject of a recent Remy parody video. It's a parody song and video, and Remy's always the best. Remy over at Reason.com, which is why every time he drops a new parody song, we try to accommodate the Weird Al of libertarianism. This is this little ditty is some of our people named, but may not be familiar with this. They're not as in touch with the hip hop community as I am.
Oh, that's right. Well,
this is the title of the piece is All Oil Everything, and it's a parody of Trinidad James's All Gold Everything.
Okay.
The Trinidad James song, in quotation marks, All Gold Everything, involves the pretty gratuitous use of the N-word, so Remy steered clear of that. Quite entertaining.
Now don't die on me. We'll be at the hospital soon. We just need to drive one more. Yeah. We're here to protest your immoral use of oil. Despite the fact there's oil all in my chain, oil all in my ring, oil all in my watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Lugga. Don't believe me, just watch. Lugga. Don't believe me, just watch. I got an oil hat and an oil shirt, 2 oil signs, I'm holding them. I got socks, shades, and shoes on, all made up petroleum. There's oil in my gummies, so oil in my tummy. Oil in the phone I used to call my mom for money. The ink on my sign, all these lenses for my side, all these pants and this asphalt, this glue I glued my my watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Glugga, lugga, lugga. Don't believe me, just watch. Glugga, lugga, lugga. Don't believe me, just watch. My name's Protester too, and people tell me that I'm crazy. But I'm not a bro who's loco, no, it's just that I am lazy. I was sitting at home stoic. My friend called before you know it. He said, bro, get down here quick, they just made sitting down heroic. So I grabbed my all keys, all sunscreen, all wallet, and backpack. And if I reincarnate as a pod, I call the kettle black. I got in my Orly EV and slammed the all-painted door and started judging all of you through my petroleum bullhorn, because there's all of my chain, all of my ring, all of my watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Glugga, lugga, lugga. Don't believe me, just watch. Glugga, lugga, lugga. Don't believe me, just watch. I'm late to work, I'll get fired. My patient's dying, look! You all should have thought of that before. I never read a book. I do not have colon cancer, no, for certain that's a fact. I can't confirm, cause I spent life with my head squarely up my...
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, his parodies are so good because the lyrics are so good, and he's a good singer, performer. And the video's fun, too, so check it out. I'll tweet it out, as we're wont to do. It's a creative way to remind people that petroleum is responsible for so many things, so many of modern conveniences, as he was detailing.
Yes.
Good stuff from Remy. By the way, so, not just the idiot protester class, right, sitting down heroic, as he said, but all these dilettantes in wealthy suburbs that present a more fashionable version of those fashionable views that you heard from those two knuckleheads at the National Rotunda. For more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined by Rupert Darwall. He is the author of the book Green Tyranny, senior fellow at Real Clear Foundation. And Rupert, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Pleased to be joining you, Dan and Amy.
So, in addition to Remy's parody raps, this could be the subject of another one, actually. We have more updates on what Western governments are thinking about doing to prevent the climate apocalypse. We had the story out a few months ago about a way to divert the sun from shining on America, build a dome, something Simpsons cartoon style. Now we have this story in the Journal yesterday, dumping chemicals in the ocean, spraying salt water into clouds, injecting reflective particles into the sky. Scientists, if you call them that, are resorting to once unthinkable techniques to cool the planet because global efforts to check greenhouse gas emissions are failing. So we need to take global evasive action on an heretofore unknown scale in order to prevent the coming apocalypse, which AOC puts at about T-minus 5 years now.
Yeah, that kind of thinking is just absurd, isn't it? When you consider that far more people die of cold than of warm, it's absolutely insane. And that scientists are proposing that just shows how off kilter the whole thing has become.
Well, I know that you recently wrote about the net zero, speaking of a fashionable delusion, and impact on Britain's energy policies. I mean, Western Europe maybe is more advanced in terms of these idiotic policies than in America, with perhaps the exception of California. So, I mean, maybe just let's delve into Britain a little bit to give us yet another case study.
Yeah, I mean, Britain's got sky-high electricity rates. I'd say that households are paying about 75% more for electricity than the average household in the U.S. For businesses, it's even worse. They're paying 3 to 4 times the price that U.S. businesses are paying. And of course that feeds through into price levels. It also feeds through into your industrial competitiveness, the fact that in Britain and Germany and other Western European countries, basically deindustrializing. So blue collar work is going down. We're basically exporting all our jobs to manufacturing jobs to China. So it's pretty much a huge disaster. Net zero is obviously designed to save the planet, but it won't save the planet. But what it will do is destroy the economy, and that's what we're seeing.
Well, I know Dan doesn't like to talk about the royal family, but King Charles and Prince William, they've been pounding, beating this drum for a long time. What role did they play in all of this?
Yeah, I think it reflects an elite cultural view that hydrocarbon energy, the Industrial Revolution, is bad, and we're back to feudalism in a way. It's the landowners and it's the super wealthy who can do well out of all this, but the rest of the country, the rest of the population suffers. But I think you're absolutely right to draw attention to it. It is a fixation and obsession of the elite.
Right, and that certainly includes, and importantly, we need to discuss, the scientists. These are the scientists that are always referred to. It's sort of the experts is the way that you're supposed to understand that. There's an organization, this piece by Caleb Howe over at Real Clear Politics, organization covering climate now, which is a major driver of climate-related news, encompassing more than 500 news and media outlets that partner with the organization, which represents an audience of 2 billion people in 57 countries. Its partners include names like ABC, CBS, Reuters, the Boston Globe, the Miami Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle. NBC News and Bloomberg are also partners. Founded by Columbia Journalism Review, and we know this very well, and in partnership with the far-left publication The Nation, funded by all these wealthy private foundations like the Rockefeller Family Fund and others. So, I mean, that is a huge number of media outlets that it's partnered with across the globe, all the big old legacy media. And as you can sort of intuit, Covering Climate Now is all about aggressively pushing the climate apocalypse storyline.
That is absolutely right. They are part of what I call the climate industrial complex, and you have these foundations who are basically buying up the media coverage of climate change to stoke alarmism. But there's another side to that, which is the suppression of dissent on the internet. So you have outfits that go and rank websites, news and opinion sites for supposed climate disinformation, so they get pushed further down the Google search rankings, they get demonetized and so forth. So always remember the other side. It's not just stoking the alarm, it is crushing and silencing dissent, which is in many ways even worse in my opinion.
Well, so, I mean, there's been a sort of a market reckoning in America with respect to EVs, despite the push, despite the subsidies, despite the job owning from D.C., where you have big rental car companies that are selling off their EV fleets, and the percentage of EV ownership as a percentage of overall automobile ownership in this country is actually on the decline, despite all of the push and all of the financial incentives. And so one wonders what the response should be from those who are trying to, middle the issue of being a good steward of our natural resources, as most reasonable people want to be, but not losing our minds and our industrial economies in the process. Because, you as you well know, with the kind of politician we're talking about, if the people don't do it willingly, they're happy to impose on them the mandate that they do it even unwillingly.
Yeah, that's a very good point you're making, because if you're having to force people to buy something that they don't want, there's something gone very wrong. And you see it not just with EVs, but you also see it with heat pumps that are meant to replace gas and oil-fired central heating and water heating. So if politicians are resorting to force, that is one red flag. But I have to say, I don't see, there isn't, in my view, a trade-off between saying, well, we're good stewards of the environment and therefore we're going to go for EVs, we're going to have lots of renewable energy, because those things are bad for the environment. They are incredibly resource intensive. You have to make a battery, you have to dig out hundreds and hundreds of tons of mineral to make that battery. For wind power and solar farms, you have to cover hilltops and the countryside with very intrusive wind farms and solar farms, which destroy the environment. They destroy bird life. They kill bats in their hundreds of thousands. So I think it's really important to understand that environmental stewardship involves opposing these monstrosities that destroy the environment.
Well, it's also an eyesore, man. I just drove through France, the Luxembourg, Belgium, the Netherlands, and I could not believe how many wind farms that there were. And are they producing any energy? Because you'll have a 16th century beautiful farm and rolling hills, and then boom, these monstrosities that you speak of.
Yeah, they are environmentally bad. They're also very bad they're very inefficient ways of generating electricity, and that's one of the reasons why Britain's electricity costs so much. Is because we have so much wind power. Wind power has to be subsidized, and you basically have to have not just the wind turbines, you also have to have the backup when the wind's not blowing. So you're paying twice over for to generate electricity. So not only is it bad for the environment, it's also really bad economic. It's bad economics, which is one of the reasons why Britain and Europe are doing so bad. Their economies are basically stagnating.
He is Rupert Darwall, Senior Fellow of the Real Clear Foundation, author of the book Green Tyranny. Also, check out his report I just mentioned in our conversation over at Real Clear Politics, The Folly of Climate Leadership. Rupert Darwall, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, visit surroundchicago.com right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Visit surroundchicago.com today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, weathering in medicine. It's a new term you've got to learn to keep up with the Orwellian nomenclature of the day. 7:07.
Dealing with rejection, a Dan Proft special segment. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
COPA releases footage of an officer-involved shooting. The number of migrants staying at city shelters has dropped, and the Bulls lose to the Cavaliers. WIND Chicago News Times, 7 o'clock.
A
celebration and a mass shooting. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. One person is killed, 21 others shot, including 9 children, at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory rally. Police say 3 people are in custody. No word yet on a possible motive for the shootings. Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves.
We are working to determine if one of the 3 are the one that was in that video where fans assisted police.
Paul Contreras tackled one of the alleged shooters.
There was no hesitation. It was just that split-second reaction.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin has more.
Kansas City radio station KKFI taking to Facebook to say DJ and host Lisa Lopez Galvin was killed in the shooting at the Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade. Posting, "This senseless act has taken a beautiful person from her family and this KC community." Police say 22 people were hit by gunfire.
We do have 3 persons detained.
Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves says the investigation has not yet determined a motive, noting they've recovered at least 1 firearm and are asking anyone with information or video of the incident to come forward. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
A top Republican opens up about a potential major security threat from Russia.
House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Turner taking the Biden administration by surprise, alerting Congress and the public to what he called a serious national security threat and calling on the White House to declassify it, quote, so that Congress, the administration, and our allies can openly discuss the actions necessary to respond. Members of Congress began rushing to the SCIF to view the material.
It's serious. Yes.
Sources tell Fox the threat is an emerging Russian military capability in outer space that the U.S. has been tracking for some time, denying Turner's suggestion that conversations with allies and partners haven't yet happened.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich reporting from the White House. Top congressional leaders are getting a briefing about that intelligence today. America's listening to Fox News.
42 degrees. We've had rain showers here in the Chicago area. A bit of snow to our north in Wisconsin at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 Chicago women have been killed. A driver also hit several pedestrians in St. Louis. The 2 were reportedly leaving a concert last night at the Enterprise Center in downtown St. Louis just after midnight. The victims have not been identified, but the Chicago victims are confirmed to be mother and daughter. Police say the driver was speeding, ran red lights, and sideswiped a car before striking the women near the arena in a crosswalk. That driver is in the hospital in critical condition. Body cam footage of an officer-involved shooting in the North Lawndale neighborhood last year is now public.
Be good, man, okay? Just relax.
26-year-old Javante Kindred was shot by a patrol officer who says Kindred was carrying a gun, later confirmed by body camera video. However, Kindred's family says he was complying and trying to get rid of the weapon.
He was laying on the ground and in agony pain, and they were searching him and looking for the gun.
Prosecutors continue their felony case against Kindred. COPA is still investigating the officers and the incident. Today marks the start of early voting in Illinois for the March 19 general primary, which includes the state's presidential primaries. It's also the first day election authorities can begin sending out ballots requested for mail-in voting. In-person voting is available at election authority offices only until March 4. And students at Thornwood High School in South Holland say they've still got bed bugs in the building. Cell phone videos gone viral showing students flooding the hallways of that school, demanding administrators take further action. Thornwood officials say they've taken the appropriate measures and that there currently is no infestation. Meantime, students are circulating a petition to have the entire school shut down. Until there is concrete evidence the bugs are gone for good. Cavaliers pull away from the Bulls in the final minute of a 108-105 win. Blackhawks host the Penguins tonight. Cubs back on the farm. Jed Hoyer looking for improvement from his young players.
I do think that we have a lot of young veteran players that I think have a chance to take real steps forward. I think that's the most exciting thing for me is I feel like we have a deep roster, and we have a deep roster of players I think that have a chance to continue to get better.
Last night in college hoops, DePaul crushed by number 1 UConn. Loyola beat St. Joe's, and Bradley beat UIC. The news, a service of Fox Valley Coins. No waiting, no problems, no charge for in-store verbal appraisals. Bring in your gold and silver today at foxvalleycoins.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, tunein.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
If you have a bank account, pay attention. The U.S. banking system is once again under extreme stress, but there is an easy way to protect yourself. Gold. Contact Noble Gold Investments today and safeguard your family's financial future. As a thank you for opening a qualified account, they'll give you a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin. Just use the promo code GOLD. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Pure Talk believes in American values and that free should mean exactly that, free. Well, switch to Pure Talk today and you'll get a free Samsung 5G smartphone. Now, qualifying plans start at just $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, and, of course, mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk, claim your eligibility for your free brand new Samsung 5G smartphone. Start saving on wireless today and switch to my cell phone company, Pure Talk.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm here in San Diego. I mean, I surf, I'm active, I'm an ex-college athlete. Well, I decided, I'm going to try that Balance of Nature. Let's just see what happens. Like after about a month and a half, man, what a difference. That sold me right there. That's when I was like, this stuff's working, so I'm going to stick with it. And so I've been sticking with it ever since. And it's definitely helped, and I definitely feel good. Seems like to be the real deal.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
7:07. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Outbound Edens jammed up and slow. Foster to Cicero. Inbound Kennedy. Around 30 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike semi out of the ditch. On the inbound side, it's on the off-ramp to Mannheim Road. And as they pull that out, traffic on the main line is beginning to go a little faster. 43, 390 to the old post office. Stevenson outbound, you're jammed on the exit ramp. Outbound between State into the Dan Ryan Expressway. And things are slow in the Dan Ryan Express lanes inbound, 51st up to the Stevenson. Reagan, I-88, jammed up eastbound between Roosevelt and the Tri-State. I-80 heavy and slow between Kedzie and Ridgeland on the westbound side due to an earlier accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast, AM 560 Weather Center with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
A shower in the area early this morning. It'll be partly sunny by afternoon. Breezy day, high 41. Partly cloudy tonight, low 27. Clouds, a bit of snow tomorrow. Little or no accumulation, high 32. Partly sunny, breezy, chilly on Saturday, the high at 30. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Light rain and 42 right now. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
The Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Amy, you're a proponent of healthy aging, right? Yes?
Start
No?
again. I cannot hear you. My headsets just went out.
You're a proponent of aging in a healthy fashion, healthy aging.
Yes, of course. Yes.
And that includes what? What's necessary to age in a healthy fashion?
It consists of eating. Don't overeat. Exercise on a daily basis if you can. Stay active. Like yesterday, I played pickleball at the Elk Grove Pavilion. Doing new things, trying out new things, and getting enough sleep and taking care of yourself.
Yep, that may be fine for a honky like you, but it doesn't work for black people.
Oh, really?
Contrary to popular opinion and accepted wisdom, healthy aging is a measure not of how well we take care of ourselves, but rather how well society treats and takes care of us. Healthy aging has to do with society. It takes a village to age in a healthy fashion.
Is there a term for this?
Well, there's a term for what's happening to black Americans. And we introduce you to another one of these sort of marginal academics, largely ignored for most of her career, and appropriately so, who now, in this era of idiocracy, is finding newfound influence and audiences. Good investigative report by John Murawski, our friend over at RealClearInvestigations.com. Arlene Geronimus. In 1986, when Jesse Jackson Sr., not a reverend, and healthcare leaders were decrying the crisis of babies having babies as a pathology in black neighborhoods, Arlene Geronimus contended that teenage pregnancy was a rational response to urban poverty, where low-income black people have fewer healthy years before the onset of heart problems, diabetes, and other chronic conditions. She coined the term weathering, which has now become a foundation for the social justice ideology, or the new Marxists, as I would say, and is now influencing medicine and social policy. In fact, it was influential in a lot of COVID policy over the last 3 years. It just wasn't leveled up for public consumption. Weathering.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Weathering is the result of the chronic stress of living in an oppressive white majority society that causes damage at the cellular level and leads to obesity and other health conditions, resulting in a shorter life expectancy for black Americans.
Don't make up excuses.
The weathering hypothesis identifies middle-class assimilation and professional striving within the quote-unquote American creed of hard work as silent killers of people of color. Writing in Harvard Public Health last year, living life according to the dominant social norms of personal responsibility and virtue is not universally health-promoting. On the contrary, if you're black, working hard and playing by the rules can be part of what kills you. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Seems like they're just trying to make up an excuse for being lazy and not working out and not taking care of yourself. Or is that too insensitive of me? Am I being a fattest?
Yeah, I think their agenda is beyond that, beyond rationalization. As I said, it's insinuated itself into policy, just as critical race theory has. I mean, this is sort of a corollary to it. As Murawski reports, Geronimus' hypothesis, this weathering hypothesis, the foundation of many policy decisions of the White House's COVID-19 Health Equity Task Force. In New Hampshire, the governor's COVID-19 equity response team issued a report and recommendations in 2020 citing weathering and quote-unquote racial battle fatigue as documented and established realities of American life. Impact? Weathering was recently extended beyond American people of color and accepted as evidence in federal courts to win early release of non-white detainees, some as young as in their 30s, who are deemed to be having prematurely aged and therefore at higher risk of COVID-19 complications. This theory is being used to get criminals out of jail sooner if they're black. Ian Kingsbury, we've had him on the show, director of Do No Harm, whose organization is trying to keep identity politics out of medicine and is losing. He writes about this. Judges and other policymakers look to academic journals to be authoritative and trustworthy voices on what evidence and what is science, what is evidence and what is science. And so you sneak this stuff in, weathering, and unfortunately, as far as a lot of people are concerned, you've created knowledge. There are some academics that are recoiling at this, but again, it's insinuation continues. In a 2023 book, Weathering the Extraordinary Stress of Ordinary Life in an Unjust Society, Arlene Geronimus, she'll fit right in with Robin DiAngelo and Ta-Nehisi Coates and Ibram Kendi, a.k.a. Henry Rogers. I mean, these are the new intellectuals in an anti-intellectual age. In her book in 2023, last year, Weathering explains why Martin Luther King Jr. had a damaged heart of a 60-year-old when he was assassinated at 39. Why Fannie Lou Hamer died of breast cancer and complications of hypertension at age 59. The trauma of being black is one reason why tennis great Serena Williams had life-threatening blood clots at the age of 36. She writes, I'm quoting Geronimus again from Murawski's piece, success comes at a spectacularly high health cost for those who have to fight the hardest to achieve it in the context of a society that doesn't value them. Structural violence is insidious, pervasive, and fateful. It's the fundamental cause of weathering and is entirely ignored in the age-washing narrative. Age-washing.
Oh, my God.
We got that now, too.
Right. Stress isn't racist. Stress doesn't just focus on black people. White people are stressed out, too. Hispanics. Everyone's stressed.
The number one cause of death among black Americans?
Heart disease.
Right. The number one cause of death among white Americans?
Heart disease.
Right.
The number one cause of death for women, not breast cancer, heart disease.
The number one cause of death for young black men?
Shootings.
Murder.
Sorry. Victims of violence. Yeah. Oh, that's so sad.
Uh-huh. And by the way, that statistic, that black men 18 to 35, death by murder statistic, is one of the reasons that black life expectancy is a year and a half lower than it otherwise would be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what was it compared to where you used to live downtown compared to Inglewood?
Right, Inglewood. This would be an example of weathering, according to Miss Geronimus. Professor. Right, right. The largest disparity of any two neighborhoods in the same metropolitan area in the country. Streeterville, where I lived, the life expectancy 90. Inglewood, 7 miles away, 60.
Oh, God. Don't ever forget that statistic.
And this is, but wait a second. We're all aligned and oriented toward uplifting, and we need to focus on, and the identitarian politics is working so well. Okay. Weathering science measures various biomarkers of what is presumed to be psychosocial, stress, cortisol levels, and allostatic loads to make the case that on average, black adults are as much as 10 years older biologically than white people of a comparable chronological age. But it turns out to be really complicated. There's other academics that are quoted in Murawski's piece that basically say, look, this is a hypothesis in search of supporting evidence, and I haven't found it. Even in one University of Chicago academic who did a joint research project with Geronimus. This is hypothesis. This is just an ideological disposition masquerading as science is what this is, which is nothing new. But It's not got the imprimatur of science with respect to health, so it implicates what the medical profession may or may not do, which should frighten the hell out of people. Conversations you have to have with your doctors these days, the political influence in medical decisions. Geronimus compares the African-American experience of living and working among white people to the fight or flight adrenaline rush of a prehistoric human fleeing a cheetah. Except she says that a 21st century black person in majority white society is trapped in that high stress mode all day, every day, without reprieve, resulting in a flood of stress hormones that dysregulate the body. Stanley Goldfarb has been writing about the politicization of medicine for years, former dean at Ivy League Med School. The problem with the theory is that these hormones and these stress responses don't know what skin color you have. Oh, right. We're all humans. Right. The point is, what's unique about their stress? The point isn't their stress, that the stress is bad. The point is you decided that your stress is unique and different from everybody else's stress. Well, sure, because I've got this hypothesis and I need to come up with some academic-sounding rationale to convince policymakers to use it to inform their policymaking. Again, that University of Chicago academic, Professor Kastner, weathering is a hypothesis still in search of definitive evidence. I've never seen one study, including my own, where it's a definitive study that this really is a smoking gun, that racism or prolonged psychosocial stress causes adverse health outcomes. That doesn't matter. Onward it moves through the academy, including med schools, to public health agencies. Greg, Northwest Side.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. How the heck you doing?
Good.
You know, I haven't had a drink in about 5 years, but after this news, I'm kind of tempted to do it again.
Oh, no, don't go.
Hey, it seems that smoking has been replaced with blowing smoke up people's butts. If there is a problem with aging in black people, I'd like to cite just a couple that I know, Thomas Sowell and Clarence Thomas. They must be the white face of weathering. And by the way, in geology, weathering is kind of what happens when you stand out in the rain all day long like a rock and don't do anything about it.
Yeah, so that's what she's saying, that this is erosion over time by living in this oppressive white society. That's exactly why she used the term weathering, is to connote the erosion that you're describing. Yep.
Has she thought about going inside? Anyway.
Right. Thanks for the call, Greg. Appreciate it. On exercise, Amy?
Yes.
Since you brought it up. Exercise can be beneficial, writes Professor Geronimus. Exercise can be beneficial, but wait a second. Hold on.
What? Gym memberships are too high? What? You can always walk.
A black person considering taking a run will be unlikely to fret that Ahmaud Arbery was shot to death while jogging because he was black.
Oh, my God.
And she continues, how can a black person relax in restorative sleep knowing Breonna Taylor was shot to death by police as she slept in her own apartment? White society is out to get you. Can't even take a jog or go to sleep without the white man coming for you. That's very professorial. That's really steeped in persuasive evidence, scientific evidence. The data and the science.
Right.
Sure. Okay. Tony, Southside.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, my lammy lamb. So I understand it. I get it. As a middle-aged white man myself, I've been known to give people like priapism, erectile dysfunction, agitation, anxiousness, stomach ulcers, diarrhea, constipation, loss of appetite, dizziness, insomnia, headaches, and idiopathic subaortic stenosis. So I get it, man. I really get it.
You forgot bleeding out of the left earlobe. Yes.
Tony.
It happens later.
Yeah, Tony on the South Side, you should come with a warning label. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Kevin in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, I think it's about weathering. I think it's about whether or not you live in a democratic society or you're governed by Democrats, and whether or not you take responsibility for your own life, and whether or not you have a relationship with a higher power.
Good little homonym there. with that different kind of weathering. Very good. Maurice and Berwyn.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I'll use my useless minor in sociology. But Dan, if you take anyone who's poor and black at a certain economic level and compare it to someone who's poor and white in Mississippi and did the same biometrics, it would be the same thing. And maybe if they can gear it towards like, hey, they both need social economic support, it could be the same outcome. Being poor and black and being poor and white is kind of the same thing. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't have access to good food, if you can't jog, God knows where I came from. You couldn't jog around the block; you were just running. You catch my drift.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same outcomes, and that's the biggest conversation that we send in this out in this country. That it's denial to healthcare, fresh foods, all those things. That's what people really need.
Well,
good conversation.
Not to mention. I mean, the personal responsibility piece. The choices that you.
Well, correct.
Choices,
if you're eating crappy food, if you're smoking, you're drinking, all the same things. Correct.
Right. Yeah. Right. Thanks for the call, Maurice. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Like this is Maurice from Berwyn's perfect example. Like here's the observable truth, and here's an academic theory why you should ignore the observable truth and just join in this delusion, because this delusion is the path to power. The observable truth is the path to personal responsibility. Those are the choices. But this gives you a rationale to pursue power and to absolve yourself of the need to be accountable for the choices you make. So it's pretty attractive in that way. Not to mention, it feeds the white man's burden of most elites, the identitarian politics of elites. I'm, doing something to uplift. I'm striking a blow against the patriarchy and so on and so forth. So it has those attributes, which are more important to those in charge than actual positive outcomes for those they pretend to represent. Anthony and Joliet.
These ridiculous nutjob theories are so outlandish that most normal people just wave them off as nutty proposals, but unfortunately become more endemic and in our culture and society at large.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for the call. And can impact the quality of services that you can access at some point. I mean, this is all going somewhere, right? This is not just, sort of debating society topics in an ivory tower on some college campus. As I said, this crackpot theory informed COVID-19 policy at the federal and state level, just for example. Jack in Northwest Indiana.
Yes, I have my own theories, and full disclosure, I have zero background on this topic, which probably makes it more aligned with this professor's background as well. But after 60 years of great society programs and failure after failure, whether it's public housing, food subsidies, what have you, instead of looking at that and saying, let's revisit what hasn't worked and why, it just seems Democrats can never look back and say, we need to revisit and change course here because it's not working. Because that, as you said, changes the dynamic of the power struggle, changes the dynamic of an industry where people have made significant monies over years because they put forth this whole, race-based hustle is what it amounts to. It's an industry of hustle. And they won't look at that. They'll continue to blame and continue to fester this open sore in this country for decades to come.
Thanks for the call, Jack. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I've been a clinical psychologist since 1991. I was licensed, and I love being a clinical psychologist because I like helping people. I tell people that Balance of Nature is a wonderful supplement because I truly trust in the product. I feel great. And because I feel great, I'm able to do everything that I want to do. I really love taking Balance of Nature.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Old Man Winter is here, and you'll need a heating and cooling company you know you can depend on. Look no further. That company is the original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling. They're not one of those massive impersonal companies with inexperienced technicians and subcontractors. Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling sends only their own highly skilled technicians. From service to installation and everything in between, their work quality and customer service is the best. The original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling keeps homes and businesses comfy and warm. Call Carrie at 847-545-1700 or visit arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.com. That's Carrie at 847-545-1700 or online at arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.com. Get 20% off your first service and ask about their service contracts. The original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling, not the biggest, just the best.
The following is a paid political announcement.
I'm Dr. Kent Mercado, and I'm running for Congress in the 11th District. I'm a physician, attorney, humanitarian, father, and husband. And I have had the privilege of speaking with several thousand residents, and I've heard your concerns. And they are kitchen table issues, the economy, education, safety, and secure borders, access to quality and affordable physical and mental health care. I'm here to be your voice. Please vote for Dr. Kent Mercado for Congress on March 19th in the Republican primary.
This message was paid for and approved by Dr. Kent Mercado for Congress.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we'll introduce you to West Whiteland, Pennsylvania, a town of 18,000 people in Pennsylvania, Chester County, Pennsylvania to be specific. That is now a border community. 7:37.
And remember Rachel Dolezal? Well, she's lost another job. We'll tell you what she had and why she lost it. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
7:32. Officials say a missile strike on the Russian city of Belgorod near the Ukraine border has killed 6, injuring 18. It's what appears to be the latest exchange of long-range missile and rocket fire between Ukraine and Russia. Hours earlier, Russia fired cruise and ballistic missiles at a broad area of Ukraine. Israeli forces make a move after a standoff in southern Gaza. Fox's Lillian Wu with more.
Israeli forces stormed the hours after firing into the complex, killing a patient and wounding 6 others. The army saying it had credible evidence Hamas was holding hostages in Nasser Hospital and that terrorists appeared to be operating there. The army had been pushing to evacuate thousands at the Khan Yunis complex, but Gaza's health ministry said many patients were unable to move. Meanwhile, the toll continues to rise from cross-border fighting with Lebanon. A rocket attack launched from Lebanon, killing an Israeli soldier and wounding 8 others. Israeli military attacks in southern Lebanon, killing at least 10 civilians and 3 fighters from the militant group Hezbollah, which has vowed to retaliate. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
Police are looking for answers after 20 people were shot at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. 3 are in custody after the shooting, which killed at least 1. Police have yet to determine a motive. House Intelligence Committee warning about a serious national security threat. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he'll talk to President Biden today about that threat.
I will press the administration to take appropriate action, and everybody can be comforted by that.
Ohio Republican Mike Turner said his committee made the information on the threat available to members of Congress. Turner is requesting that the president declassify that information. Japan's economy is now the world's 4th largest after it contracted in the last quarter of 2023, and its recession helped it fall behind Germany. The government reported and the economy shrank at an annual rate of 0.4% in October through December. Two Chicago women are dead after a driver hit several pedestrians in St. Louis. The two were reportedly leaving a Drake concert at the Enterprise Center downtown arena just after midnight yesterday. Body cam footage of an officer-involved shooting in the North Lawndale neighborhood is now public. 26-year-old Javante Kindred was shot by a patrol officer who says Kindred was carrying a gun, later borne out by body camera video. Kindred's family say he was complying and got rid of that weapon.
He was laying on the ground and in agony pain, and they were searching him and looking for the gun.
Prosecutors continue their felony case against Kindred. COPA is investigating police and the incident. The lawyer for former Northwestern football coach Patrick Fitzgerald is requesting an earlier trial date for their wrongful termination case. Now a status hearing is scheduled for April 2nd. Cavaliers beat the Bulls 108-105. The Blackhawks aim to avoid their 8th loss in a row when they host the Penguins at the UC. The news, a service of Fox Valley Coins. This is a great time to bring in your scrap gold jewelry and sterling flatware. Cash or check offered on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Hello, America. It's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you don't have Consumer Cellular yet, now is the perfect time to switch and save. For a limited time, new customers can get wireless service for as low as $15 a month for your first year. Yep, the same exact nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for $15 a month for an entire year. What are you waiting for? Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com and use code Radio15.
See ConsumerCellular.com/firstyear15 for promotional details.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's BABBEL.com.
Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? Well, you need to call QC Kinetics. Hi, it's Amy Jacobson. Listen, the state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids, cortisone shots, surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury? Well, don't let this pain keep you from living your best. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility and independence. Walk and run, play and live. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. New locations, folks, in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Pure Talk believes in American values and that free should mean exactly that, free. Well, switch to Pure Talk today and you'll get a free Samsung 5G smartphone. No 4-line requirement, no activation fees, just a Samsung that's built to last with a rugged screen, quick charging battery, and top-tier data security. Now, qualifying plans start at just $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, and, of course, mobile hotspot. Now, Pure Talk will connect you to the most dependable 5G network in America for half the price of Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. The average family saves close to $1,000 a year. So let Pure Talk's expert U.S. customer service team help you make the switch today. It's simple, it's fast, it's easy. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword SAVE NOW, claim your eligibility for your free brand new Samsung 5G smartphone, and start saving on wireless today. Again, from your phone, dial pound 250, say the keyword SAVE NOW, and switch to my cell phone company, Pure Talk.
Pluto TV won't cost you a thing because everything is free. Just download the app, which, by the way, is free. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
7:40. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy, 44. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike, 1 hour, 390 into the old post office. Back out to 390 in 50 minutes. Stevenson inbound. Jam solid. Harlem to Kedzie. It's an hour from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan in a half hour from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy with a shower in spots this morning. Sun could break out this afternoon with a high of 41. Light rain and 42. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. To paraphrase writer and author Andrew Sullivan from a couple of years ago when he said, "We all live on a college campus now," talking about American culture. Well, we all live on a college campus on a border town now. We all live on a college campus on the border now. West Whiteland, Pennsylvania in Chester County. Little hamlet of 18,000. Chester County, Pennsylvania, that is. Border town now. The ABC affiliate there reporting.
Police are starting to notice a new trend. Recently, they have been busting groups that are stealing large quantities of merchandise, and they say the suspects are in the country illegally. The latest theft unfolded at this Ulta on February 1st. We've obtained video from inside the store that shows two men walk inside, both with distinct white patches hanging from their back pockets.
Two males come in.
Police say they helped steal $2,000 worth of merchandise. They were identified as Albert Turalba Jordan and Caviar Gilarte Campos, both from Venezuela, and police say both entered the U.S. illegally.
They're taking advantage of, coming to the United States and committing these crimes and being able to disappear to some degree.
West Whiteland Police Detective Scott Pizik has noticed a trend in recent months. He's identified at least 3 of these groups where the suspects crossed the border illegally.
Over the last few months, we've had what we call South American theft groups.
The United States saw a surge of illegal crossings at the U.S. southern border, hitting record highs in December before falling a bit in January. Even though the border is nearly 2,000 miles away, police say it's having an impact here. In June, this man was caught on surveillance at Kohl's in Exton. Police say he stole $17,000 worth of merchandise. The Peruvian national was arrested and deported in the fall, but he's already
back.
Yeah. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
I'll tell you, I don't like Venezuelan caviar. That's for sure.
Oh.
Did you catch the guy's name is Caviar?
Yeah. Come on.
That's rich. Anyway, yeah. So, I mean, this is not inconsistent with what we've seen in Chicagoland. I wonder when this starts to register with the suburban and exurban populations in a meaningful way. It's obviously registering in West Whiteland, Pennsylvania. But, I mean, we've brought the stories about the retail theft going on in Oak Brook at the mall, the retail theft rings that were busted up in Lake County. Do you think it's starting, that aspect of it is starting to resonate beyond the corporate boundaries of urban centers at this point? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line.
Well, I got to tell you, in Lakewood, Colorado, they had a city council meeting last night, and they unloaded because the mayor of Denver wants to send more illegals their way, and they don't want any of it.
This transfer station, which is going to turn into a money pit and a magnet for every criminal that's coming across the border. Don't we have enough problems in Lakewood without importing them from Denver who is saying, yeah, Lakewood, you're stupid enough to take all of them. Take our problems, you dummies. It's a money pit, and you guys are responsible for our money. Don't screw it up. This is going to be a money pit. Can't you guys think 5 minutes ahead? Do us a big favor and just quit. Get your sorry butts up and leave.
Any city resources, time or money, focused on non-citizens necessarily steals from our infrastructure, schools, security, and human services. And we are already doing our part as federal taxpayers.
And
Colorado Springs.
Dan, this county, I mean, they voted by 18 points. Biden won this county, I should say, by 18 points in 2020. So hopefully the residents remember that this November.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. I wonder if that's, what the penetration is in terms of not just the public safety issue, but the resource allocation issue. I mean, I haven't...
A combo of both. I mean, they're
Well,
claiming
yeah.
that there's prostitution, crime, drugs have been brought to this quiet, peaceful town, and they're destroying everything.
Well, but that's... do you get the sense that that's what you heard from that one gentleman in Lakewood, Colorado about,
Clear the board, get out of here.
Don't screw it up, and why don't you just resign? Is that an attitude that's emanating from the leafy suburbs around Chicago?
I don't know.
I mean, is there, again, the looking for the signs of revolt, and I know what I'm going to hear. Well, it's going to come at the ballot box. No, I don't think so. Not if there are no visible signs of rebuke coming from the populace locally. No, it won't come from Chicago. It won't come at the ballot box. And also, too, is this idea that should we just ship them down to Chicago? We just, pass them through if we've got a metro station, or we've had some fly drop-offs in places like Kankakee with bus drivers telling them this is Chicago. You just get them down to Chicago problem, and we can continue enjoying subscription to the stylish views that we have about open borders. Because, Illinois is, when it comes to the expenditures that Lakewood dude was talking about, Illinois began offering taxpayer-funded health care to illegal immigrants 2 years ago. Wow. And we're as Ted Dabrowski at Wirepoints will tell you, we're well north of $1 billion spent. Just on that aspect of it, just on the taxpayer-funded health care for people in this state illegally by being an extension of being in this country illegally. California expanded its Medicaid program to cover people regardless of their immigration status. Next year, undocumented seniors will become eligible for the state's food assistance program in California. New York announced the pilot program offers prepaid credit cards to migrant families for food and baby supplies. Eligibility for a separate welfare program that dispenses cash payments was modified recently to include the undocumented. At the federal level, Senator Tommy Tuberville from Alabama has been talking about this, and others, but that veterans are being displaced at VAs in favor of migrants, people here illegally.
Remember the Army-Navy game? Military members, family members who went to go see that game, they had to be vacated from those hotels to make room for migrants.
Tuberville,
When's enough?
Tuber said they've opened up care from the doctors in these VA community care systems. The lines on the VAs are getting longer. Our funds that are supposed to go to the veterans are going to illegal immigrants that are coming across. And again, this is not, you don't provide health care to people in need or people that are suffering a health emergency. Of course you do. It's the global policy of saying, come on in and all these benefits await. And in places like Illinois and New York and California, they're real. They may not be real in Lakewood, Colorado. They may not be real in some of the suburbs around Chicago that are pushing them to the city. But, the people that are in this country that intend to do others harm, like these retail theft rings and worse, they're not bound by the corporate boundaries of the city of Chicago or the city of New York as we've seen. And I just wonder if this is getting internalized in a meaningful way by people other than those that actually pay attention,
And remember,
which unfortunately is a small fraction of the electorate.
Right. John Miller on CNN saying they're stealing, these Venezuelans that beat up that cop. They're stealing from New Yorkers and then going to spend the money in Florida, then going back to New York to steal again to spend their money in Florida. And why they're not spending, why they're not robbing people in Florida as much as New York is because they know that they're going to have to go to jail. They'll have to pay for their consequences. And yesterday, your Governor DeSantis, he has a new plan.
Right now, we have a situation in Florida where you only get a felony if you do 5 different retail thefts within a 45-day period. Well, excuse me, you shouldn't do it at all. But if you do it and get caught, you go back to the well again. They should drop the hammer on you.
Yeah.
One of the illegals in New York City that was part of the mob that attacked the 2 NYPD police officers.
Yeah, this is
released without bail by DA Alvin Bragg, same guy who's prosecuting Trump on this ridiculous business records case. He was just arrested for, again, not Bragg, unfortunately, this one of these migrants, just arrested again for looting New York City Macy's and assaulting a security guard with a group of illegals.
What? He should be deported. What the heck is going on? And then another guy that beat up the cop, this Sanctuary Church, they paid his $15,000 bail to be free. This Reverend Juan Rios said, our church is basically a sanctuary. We assume people are innocent until they're proven otherwise.
Fine.
And he says there's a lot more to this story that we don't know, and so they paid for his bail.
So here's the intersection of, again, all these blue state policies, New York and Illinois being the most obvious here, even excluding California in this one because of the no cash bail, even more comprehensive in Illinois than in New York State. But this is the intersection. Now you're the importation through open borders, and then the public security, the public safety deterioration that's inevitable. And then now overlay that with the lack of interest in a serious criminal justice system in places like New York City, Chicago, New York State, Illinois. It's a real 1-2 punch, but are people feeling it?
Got a text message, Dan and Amy. There's approximately 1,000 illegal aliens in Whitewater, Wisconsin. Border towns are now everywhere.
Yeah, right. So, but again, what's the community response? Right. What's the feeling out there where you live that there's something afoot? There's a real reaction to this. This is going to boomerang on the power structures in those cities and states. That's not what I'm getting. Candace in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, speaking of Wisconsin.
Good morning. Wait until the dollar is almost worthless, then, and they try to implement this digital dollar. Cartels will try to hide their money, and so people will be a commodity, like your kids. Did you guys see that attempted kidnapping in Florida?
Yeah, I did.
Like at a Walgreens?
Yep.
Oh, my God, Amy, was that scary? I mean,
Yep.
look how fast it could happen. And if that father had not been there, that kid would have been gone.
Yeah, because the mother was on her cell phone walking out, being oblivious, which
Yeah.
I don't think she'll ever do that again, Candace.
Yeah, so I think that's what's going to start happening is that people will become a commodity because they need cash. They need money,
Thanks for the call, Candace. Here's part of the response that I'm talking about. When the road stops here,
oh God,
so poetic.
I know. Do we need music or something?
They're so smart on the North Shore. When the road stops here, I mean, it's Robert Frostian, so wonderful. Coordinating the North Shore's humanitarian response to the migrant crisis. February 27th, 6:30 to 9, St. Francis Xavier School in Wilmette. Join us for a nonpartisan,
Of course, they have to put
nonpartisan interfaith community-wide event to learn more about the buses arriving in the North Shore from Texas and how our North Suburban communities can come together to respond. Featuring speeches from local faith leaders, civic groups, elected officials, and an interview by Sandra Torres of Telemundo with some newcomers themselves. Feel free to attend, but please register newcomers. But please register below. Bring a donation of a new unopened hygiene item, gift card, or Ventra Transit card. Particularly the Ventra Transit card, because what we're going to do at When the Road Stops Here is we're going to bring them in, welcome them. Thank you for stopping in Wilmette. Here's a Ventra card. Here's a MetroPass. Get on that train and do not come back.
Maybe we could be pen pals. Maybe not. I mean, did you see, like, you know, how
I
they're
can't
taking...
miss you if you're not in Chicago.
I can't miss you if you don't go away. In Boston, you know, they're taking people in. This one lady took in 3 Haitians, and she's really pleased because she is a new cook.
Yeah. No, I
She
mean,
said it's great because they're cooking for every night. Well, I mean, I guess, you know, pay off.
Exactly.
Stay in my house, but you have to cook for me.
Well, I mean, there's nothing more enlightened and welcoming than indentured servitude. That's what I always say. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-280-6565. That's 1-800-280-6565. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-280-6565. That's 1-800-280-6565.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I like your product. Your product is great. I'm 75 and it works well for me.
Yeah, I'm 70 years old and it's really made a difference. It feels good.
Oh, I just feel better. I can tell the difference.
I feel like a teenager because I walk 2 miles every day, me and my husband. I mean, you can't go wrong with this product, I tell you.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Looking to give your home a one-of-a-kind makeover? It's time to think outside the box with Forever Remodeling. We're highly skilled to design and build kitchens, bathrooms, and basements using state-of-the-art 3D design software, customer communication software, and a dedicated project manager throughout your project. With Forever Remodeling, imagine a kitchen that's an extension of your personality, a bathroom that's a spa-like sanctuary, and a basement that's a canvas for your dreams. Reach out to us at 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Here's a text. Heads up in your hometown, Amy, Mount Prospect.
Uh-oh.
St. Mark Lutheran Church in Mount Prospect wants to house illegal migrants. They're calling asylum seekers in the vacant parsonage house on a residential street there. So great. Another welcoming community, Mount Prospect. Heads up, Mount Prospect residents.
All All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, we'll do a little stop, look, and listen on all things COVID consequences with our friend Alex Berenson.
Oh, good.
That's at 8:08.
Yeah, Dan, it's just me, myself, and I think you were humming that tune yesterday. But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
A woman accused of trafficking Mexican illegals from a Highland Park residence. WIND Chicago News Time 8.
CJ Papa, Fox News.
People around me thought they were fireworks, and then everyone started screaming, gunshot, gunshot.
The innocence of a child robbed during a mass shooting during the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade. Cheers turning to tears. Fox's Bill Malhusian.
Authorities say as of right now, at least 3 people are in custody in connection with the shooting. They've also recovered at least 1 gun on scene. The motive and what initially caused all this is still under investigation. A local hospital in Kansas City says they've been treating 11 children, 9 of which had gunshot wounds. Thankfully, we got some good news on that front. The hospital said that all of those kids are expected to survive and make a full recovery.
But a popular local radio DJ, Mama 2, identified as Lisa Lopez Galvan, was the person who was killed in the mass shooting. Kansas City Chiefs star player Travis Kelce posting on X, "I am heartbroken over the tragedy that took place today. My heart is with all who came out to celebrate with us and have been affected. KC, you mean the world to me." Calls for President Biden to declassify intel related to what's been described as a serious national security threat.
The House Intel Chair Mike Turner is calling on President Biden to declassify all information relating to this threat so that Congress, the administration, and our allies can openly discuss the actions necessary to respond to this threat. It's possible this information was collected using FISA Section 702, which the House was going to vote to reauthorize this week with amendments until Speaker Johnson pulled it from the floor yesterday. If that is what is happening, it would also violate a 1967 nuclear treaty covering nukes in space.
Fox's Peter Ducey, California Congressman Mike Garcia.
I can neither confirm nor deny the nation of interest, the technologies involved here, but I will say that in my 47 years of life, this is the most important national security issue that this country has faced.
The Republican on Fox Business. America is listening to Fox News.
.802 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 Chicago women are dead after a driver hit several pedestrians in St. Louis. The 2 were reportedly leaving a concert at the Enterprise Center at Downtown Arena. The victims have not yet been officially identified. Body cam footage of the officer-involved shooting in North Lawndale's neighborhood last year has now been made public. 26-year-old Javante Kindred was shot by a patrol officer who said Kindred was running from police and carrying a gun, later borne out by that body cam video. Kindred's family, though, says he was complying and trying to get rid of the weapon.
He was laying on the ground and in agony pain, and they were searching him and looking for the gun.
Another attempt is being made to make medically assisted suicide legal in Illinois. The End-of-Life Options for Terminally Ill Patients Act was introduced by Assistant Majority Leader in the Senate, Linda Holmes.
If they get a diagnostic exam from a doctor who tells them they have less than 6 months to live, they have the option of requesting a prescription that they can take themselves.
10 states have authorized some sort of medical aid in dying. A Highland Park woman charged with human trafficking after holding 2 women and 2 children against their will. Lake County Sheriff's Office arrested 34-year-old Gladys Ibanez Olea after receiving a tip late last month. Cavaliers beat the Bulls in the final minute, 108-105. Blackhawks take on Pittsburgh tonight. College hoops last night, DePaul crushed by number 1 UConn. Loyola beats St. Joe's. AM 560 news time is 8:03. It's time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Deere & Company shares are lower after the maker of farm, construction, and turf equipment reported upbeat earnings but expressed caution about this year. Though Deere's business declined from the year before, it was holding up better than Wall Street was predicting. TripAdvisor shares are gaining, up 5%. TripAdvisor made a profit in the recent quarter as business improved, and it's also looking into selling the business. Fastly, the cloud computing company, is losing ground. Its business was disappointing in the recent quarter, so was its forecast. Money app AppLovin reported a better than expected quarter. It's optimistic about this year. Airbus shattered aviation industry records last year for new orders. Its backlog is the longest in U.S. history. It expects the highest ever production rates in 2 years. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosolda. Invested in you.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
The Joe Biden administration is truly the administration for the rats, the thieves, the cartel members, the gangbangers. They're having the time of their life, and they're making more money than ever before. When a politician, salesman, or a gypsy of any kind tells you, I'll be honest with you, that's when you know they're lying. When one of these Ukrainian overlords in a $6,000 suit tells you we don't steal the money, it's pretty much a confession of him stealing the money.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I like your product. Your product is great. I'm 75, and it works well for me.
Yeah, I'm 70 years old, and it's really made a difference. It feels good. Oh, I just feel better. I can tell the difference.
I stay like a teenager because I walk 2 miles every day, me and my husband. I mean, you can't go wrong with this product, I tell you.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you have a bank account, pay attention. The U.S. banking system is once again under extreme stress, but there is an easy way to protect yourself. Gold. Contact Noble Gold Investments today and safeguard your family's financial future. As a thank you for opening a qualified account, they'll give you a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin. Just use the promo code GOLD. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Pure Talk believes in American values and that free should mean exactly that, free. Well, switch to Pure Talk today and you'll get a free Samsung 5G smartphone. Now, qualifying plans start at just $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, 15 gigs of data, and, of course, mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword Pure Talk, claim your eligibility for your free brand new Samsung 5G smartphone. Start saving on wireless today and switch to my cell phone company, Pure Talk.
It is 8:07. Let's get an update on the roads. A service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile or text the word app to 64636. Outbound Eden stop and go between Montrose and Niles Center. Kennedy inbound on the brakes, Eden's Junction, all the way to Pulaski, 53 into the Burns Circle interchange. On the Ike, accident, 2 right lanes inbound are tied up approaching the old post office. You're backed up to Racine. It is a 5-car pileup. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Breezy with a shower in the area this morning early, otherwise partly sunny. Afternoon high today 41, partly cloudy tonight, low 27. Clouds, a bit of snow tomorrow, little or no accumulation, high 32. Partly sunny, breezy, chilly day on Saturday, the high 30. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Clouds and sun, 42 officially at O'Hare. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I wanted to get our next guest take on this because for my Counterculture podcast that just posted on Tuesday, I interviewed the former science editor for the New York Times, also science reporter for Nature and Science magazines back when they were reputable, Nicholas Wade. We've talked to him on this show before, too, back in the day during COVID. But he had this piece in City Journal recently about a report that has been, dutifully ignored with respect to COVID origins. And it comes from documents that were obtained by an organization called U.S. Right to Know and analyzed by a reporter there. And the short of it is there was this proposal submitted to DARPA, the Pentagon Research Agency, for a $14 million grant to enhance SARS-like bat viruses. And it was names that if you followed COVID, you'll recall: Peter Daszak, Ralph Baric, and the scientist Shi at the Wuhan Virology Lab. Shi Zhenli, if I'm remembering her name correctly off the top. Anyway, DARPA rejected the proposal. Didn't fund the grant request. But then the perception is that she, even though she's a collaborator with these Americans, by the way, Daszak, EcoHealth Alliance, good relationship with Fauci, good relationship with Collins, funded by NIH before with grants. And Baric is sort of, a well-regarded virologist here. But so when the group couldn't get the DARPA funding, perhaps Wuhan Virology Lab went on its own, got Chinese Communist funding to do on their own what they were going to do together had they gotten the DARPA funding. And we find from the documentation, and Wade recounts all this in some detail, that the security at the Wuhan Virology Lab was not to the standard that would have been applied by like a Ralph Baric if he was involved in the project. Mm-hmm. It was substandard. That's been reported too. There's certainly questions been asked about the security at the Wuhan Virology Lab. But then, and also too, without getting into too much of the technical details, the way that a synthetic virus like this is constructed is consistent with the actual COVID virus that was at the center of the pandemic. So it essentially has all the earmarks. It is not structured in a way that is consistent with anything ever before seen occurring naturally. So a lot of circumstantial evidence. In fact, some are calling this the smoking gun, that the virus originated in the Wuhan Virology Lab. And again, whether you think it did or you didn't, or you say, oh, of course it did, we know this now. Well, we don't know this. We don't know this for sure, and we don't know this in a way that people can take it and hold the Chinese Communist Party accountable, as well as our own people, because the question to me was, well, wait a second. Why would Fauci and Collins and Baric and Daszak be flacking for the Wuhan Virology Lab and the Chinese Communist Party if the researchers at the Wuhan Virology Lab did this on their own and did it in a way that was substandard in terms of precautionary measures? Why would they flack for them rather than come forward and say, we were going to do this together? We didn't get the DARPA funding. She obviously went on her own, and we have all these problems, and we think it's more likely than not that this is the source of the outbreak, and now we have to have a discussion. And if you didn't want to say that publicly, you thought, oh, I don't want to go beyond my pay grade, well, then you report it to the political authorities, who then can raise these issues in a political context. So why would they flack for the Chinese communists and their researchers when they weren't seemingly in bed together, unless they're in bed together in a bigger, more substantial way? And that's somewhat unclear, although you can certainly offer suppositions. For more on this and other related matters, we're pleased to be joined again by Alex Berenson, author of Pandemia, How Coronavirus Hysteria Took Over Our Government, Rights, and Lives. And again, sign up for his Substack called Unreported Truths. alexberenson.substack.com is the Substack. Alex, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Of course, it's a pleasure.
So, I mean, I'm sure you're on top of the same thing that Nicholas Wade was. I mean, do you have a perspective on the origin story and why, if this reporting per the documents that U.S. Right to Know obtained is accurate, why our people, ostensibly, would be flacking for the Chinese Communist Party when they weren't formally collaborating on this COVID virus engineering?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, and I haven't done, the primary source, research. I haven't FOIA'd these documents, but I've read all the U.S. Right to Know stories, and I would say I have a fairly good understanding of this. And look, it's completely clear that this leaked from the Wuhan lab. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not we'll ever be able to prove it, I don't think it was created there. I think they were experimenting with coronaviruses. They were doing gain-of-function research. We know that. And at some point, they manufactured or probably manufactured is the wrong word, but they amped up a virus and it got out, and the rest is history. Okay. You can see right down to what are called restriction enzymes, specific ways to cut and paste a virus, a coronavirus, that were listed in this DARPA proposal in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is something that came up in 2022 when people were looking at the way the virus's genome actually looks and how it seems to have. There's evidence of restriction enzymes, and people said, "Oh no, this could have occurred naturally." Well, now we have an invoice showing that these restriction enzymes were actually bought for this proposal. So, I mean, again, short of one of the Chinese researchers coming out and admitting the truth, I don't know that we'll ever be able to prove. But certainly, we're way past a preponderance of the evidence standard.
No question.
We're close
to
reasonable doubt.
The circumstantial case is overwhelming. I agree, but I guess the question is, and the supposition is, in part, I get your reaction to this, is that even though the American side of this proposed consortium could potentially be clear of culpability in this, it's the more important play is, well, we don't want anything that is perceived to that may negatively impact funding of the kind of gain of function research we want to do. And if it is widely understood that this escaped from the Wuhan virology lab with this kind of funding that we also submitted proposals to get done, then it jeopardizes the bigger play of how we do business generally, whether it's in the Far East or at home.
I think that's where I was 2 years ago. I think now we have evidence that, certainly Barrack, possibly Fauci, that they knew specifically. Okay, so that the Christian Andersons of the world, the useful idiots, didn't know. Okay, they just wanted to protect virology. But the people most closely involved, as soon as they heard where this had come from, assumed that it had come from work that was related to work that they wanted to do and were doing. And so I think that's where I am now. I think that's the most likely outcome.
Okay,
I wanted
interesting.
to ask you about the CDC came out yesterday with some new isolation guidelines. So if you test positive for COVID, where they're, I don't know, at Chicago Public Schools, yes, and then number of our employers, even here where we work, you had to isolate for 5 days, and they're saying now just treat it, if you're sick, if you have a fever, you can come back within 24 hours. Do you think anybody's going to jump on these new guidelines, or are we just going to do, business as usual? Because it was
anybody testing for COVID? No joke. Like, has anybody actually been isolating at all for the last 2 years?
Yeah. Then we get an email here saying, reminding people to wash their hands again. And, and then just tracking where the person was, whether it was in the kitchen or the conference room. And it's not only here it's all over Chicago, and it's in our schools too. So if a student who's not even sick, tests positive for COVID because they have tests everywhere, rapid tests, they isolate for 5 days, and that affects a lot of.
It's funny because I really wasn't aware that was still happening in any meaningful way. I mean, to me, it seems we're at a very weird moment in COVID. Most people have just sort of forgotten about it, and then there's this rump of people on the left who are all about long COVID, and these are the people who hope that we would essentially remake society because of COVID, and they haven't gotten over the fact that didn't happen. And then there's this group of people who, look, I was against the mRNAs basically from mid to late 2021 on. I thought it was clear they were failing. I thought basically we had no idea about the long-term impact of a third shot, a fourth shot, a fifth shot, that shouldn't be done for people. But this notion that the mRNAs killed tens of millions of people is just totally unsupported by the evidence. So it's weird. We're in this position now where I think 80% of the country just wants to pretend COVID never happened. They're kind of ashamed that they were overly scared. And then 10% on the left are crazy and 10% on the right are crazy. But the truth is, for some of us, it's important to keep talking about it, if for no other reason that we have this pandemic preparedness issue. Okay, the people out there who caused this, right, by going into bat caves and by doing gain of function research, they won't admit what they've done, and they claim that this pandemic that they caused is reason to spend billions and billions of dollars more preventing another pandemic. Let me tell you, the most likely thing to cause another pandemic is pandemic preparedness, and we need to
prepare for what we're about to unleash.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but just on the vaccine injured topic, I mean, it's difficult to get a handle on. There was this moment recently we talked about a couple of days ago with Rishi Sunak, the PM of Britain, at a media sponsored town hall, and a Scottish gentleman sort of point blanked him and said, look at me, you told me to do this, I have a heart condition now. There's another gentleman in the audience that had some other sort of vaccine injury, and also so it was one on the vaccine, and then two on whatever system they set up, this yellow card system they have through their National Health Service to compensate people. Obviously that's a bureaucratic nightmare like everything else government healthcare related. So where are we in understanding the scope and the response to the vaccine injured at the federal and state level here?
The sad fact is we're almost nowhere, because we know the vaccines injured some people. We know they caused cardiac damage in a lot of people. They caused autoimmune damage, but we don't know the long-term severity. Let's say you got myocarditis as a result of the vaccine. Let's say you got you got psoriasis as a result of the vaccine. We don't know how treatable it is, how long it will last. That's work that needs to be done, and no one is doing it. It's in no one's interest to do it. And so instead, the void is filled by these people saying, tens of millions of people died as a result of the vaccines, which is also not true. So, I mean, I'm starting to despair that we're going to get real answers to this stuff.
Recently in your Substack, you wrote about two of the big pharma companies that you covered during your time at the New York Times. And this is, a couple of decades ago now. I wonder what your perspective is on a company like Pfizer, what it was then versus what you understand it to be today, if it's substantially different.
No, it's substantially the same. They're profit-making enterprises. Look, if they can find a drug that's helpful for people and sell it, they'll do that. If the drug turns out to have bad side effects, they're not going to go out of their way to tell people that. What's changed in the last 20 years, and certainly what's changed with the vaccines, is all the institutional controls on these companies have fallen away. So the FDA is not doing a good job, regulating the mRNAs. In fact, the FDA's chief vaccine regulator proposed Operation Warp Speed. The media, as we know, was entirely in the tank for the mRNAs, and they have complete liability immunity. So there's nobody to stand up to the companies when they lie, and they do lie. They will lie. They'll lie about money. Pfizer's had multiple civil and criminal charges that it settled for billions of dollars. There's big money at stake here, and you can't trust these companies to behave well. You have to regulate them, which is what we've totally failed to do.
He is Alex Berenson, author of Pandemia, How Coronavirus Hysteria Took Over Our Government, Rights, and Lives. Again, his Substack is entitled Unreported Truths, and you sign up at alexberenson.substack.com. Alex, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
A pleasure, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name, cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630. Or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Where does Berenson live that they're not quarantining for 5 days after you get a COVID positive test? It's very bizarre to me that he seemed shocked that we're still doing that.
Well, I mean,
are they doing it in Florida? They're not doing it in Utah.
No, I mean Chicago, is like a complete outlier. Of course, it's like we have the one of the most rigid COVIDian political classes in the Western world. So I mean, you can understand people who live in more civilized places. You could understand their surprise. In fact, I saw Dr. Emily Landon, your favorite.
Oh my God, how's she doing? Did she win the Golden Globe?
Yeah, the Valley girl from UFC. She's upset about there's not a masking requirement associated with the revised isolation recommendation.
Oh my God! I mean, I can't. I could sit here and take up the whole show of people that I know who abused the system, who wanted to extend Christmas break or spring break last year, or just take 5 days off. They didn't want to come to work and just work from home. I mean, it's sickening. So you should all ask your employers today, like, what's the plan? Here's what CDC came out with. What are we going to do here now? We got to end this at some point in time because it's getting ridiculous. Okay, balance of nature. It takes me to my happy place. Yes, 31 whole fruits and vegetables. Why do I take balance of nature? I'm not getting the recommended daily allowance on my own, and that's where Balance of Nature comes in. I take 3 fruit, 3 vegetable capsules. I crack them over into warm water, stir it up, and drink it, and voila, I have energy. I have the ability to keep doing the things that I love, even as I age so gracefully. So be one of the cool kids. Get your bottles of fruits and veggies today. 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago. Or simply go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be. And for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost. There is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Are you ready for an adventure of a lifetime? Journey with me, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, and my friend and colleague Mike Gallagher on the Patriots Alaska Cruise this summer. An incredible opportunity to engage with other like-minded patriots on an epic 7-day cruise over 4th of July weekend. Witness the untouched wilderness of Alaska over pristine water, all while celebrating America's past and future. June 29th to July 6th. Call 855-565-5519 or go to patriotsalaskacruise.com.
An informed and educated citizenry is the only guarantee to preserve our constitutional republic. And each week, you'll hear from experts, not pundits, and find out what's really happening, from local issues to national politics. Listen to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. There's no topic of public policy concern that she won't talk about. Stop the lies. Learn the truth. Join the conversation. Sunday night at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Dennis Prager. I am excited to announce the all-new Pragertopia Plus. You can listen to my show whenever it's convenient for you, all commercial-free and all on demand. Now with Prager Plus, search topics, guests, and segments all the way back to 2010. And now a truly exciting new benefit. My monthly online video get-together for Pragertopia Plus members only. This is where for an hour each month, Pragertopia Plus members get an exclusive chance to ask me anything. That's right, anything. It's on video. I'll be talking to you and answering your questions. We may even have a special guest every now and then. I've never done this. Submit your questions for me at Pragertopia.com. This is only available to Pragertopia Plus members. This is our chance to connect like never before. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, we have to get to it. You got stood up yesterday.
Yeah, not the first time I've been stood up on Valentine's Day. Former Speaker Newt Gingrich, he had to cancel on golf because he had to prepare his speech for this Hillsdale Conference event. That's this two-day event. He gave the keynote speech at dinner last night. And, I understand and I appreciate the fact that he, really thinks through and writes original material for speeches like that. He doesn't just get up there and give some canned. So anyway, it was fine. We're going to reschedule, and I got to play with my friends Charlie Tobler and his wife and one of his sons, and they're great people. So we had a good time. It was fine without Newt.
You rebounded well.
Yeah, it was fine.
But if I had a dime for every time I heard that, I got to write a speech excuse. I don't know.
Well, I think in this case,
right,
pretty straightforward.
He's a good guy. All right, well, sorry about that.
Yeah, well, another day.
Licking your wounds. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, New York Post Michael Goodwin says there's only one way the big guy can win re-election. We'll find out what he says that one way is at 8:38.
But now straight into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
8:33 in Chicago. Good morning, everyone. Officials say a missile strike on the Russian city of Belgorod near the Ukraine border has killed 6, including a child, injuring 18 others. Hours earlier, Russia fired cruise and ballistic missiles at a broad area of Ukraine. Police are looking for answers after over 20 are shot at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. Fox's Bill Malugin is there.
According to Kansas City fire officials, there are at least 22 victims who were injured in the shooting. That includes 8 with immediate life-threatening injuries. Tragically, at least one person has died so far, and local media are reporting that many of the injured are children. Authorities say as of right now, at least 3 people are in custody in connection with the shooting. They've also recovered at least 1 gun on scene. The motive and what initially caused all this is still under investigation. A local hospital in Kansas City says they've been treating 11 children, 9 of which had gunshot wounds. Thankfully, we got some good news on that front. The hospital said that all of those kids are expected to survive. and make a full recovery.
The House Intelligence Committee warning about a serious national security threat. Various reports today say that threat is related to Russian space technology. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he'll be talking with the president today during a national security brief.
I will press the administration to take appropriate action, and everybody can be comforted by that.
Ohio Republican Mike Turner said his committee made the information on that threat available to members of Congress. Turner is requesting that the president declassify that information. Costumes, props, and other items from iconic films are headed to the auction block. Items up for grabs include Hannibal Lecter's mask from Silence of the Lambs, Yoda's walking stick from Star Wars, and the hoverboard used by Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future Part 2. 2 Chicago women are dead after a driver hit several pedestrians in St. Louis. Police say the driver was speeding, ran red lights, and sideswiped cars before striking the women in a crosswalk near the downtown arena, the Enterprise Center. Another attempt is being made to make medically assisted suicide legal in Illinois. The End-of-Life Options for Terminally Ill Patients Act was introduced by Senate Assistant Majority Leader Linda Holmes. Today marks the beginning of early voting in Illinois for the March 19 general primary. It's the first day election authorities can also begin sending out ballots requested for mail-in voting. And portions of Lurie Children's Hospital's network have been restored after the system was forced to shut down 2 weeks ago following a criminal threat. Email to and from external email addresses, and a majority of the hospital's phone lines have been restored. Cavaliers over the Bulls, 108-105. They head to the All-Star break. Blackhawks host the Penguins at the UC tonight. The news is a service of Robert Half. Research indicates 9 of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Their recruiting professionals use proprietary AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. Visit roberthalf.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk doesn't see work from the RNC.
The RNC and the regime, they're lazy and complacent. They don't want to be excellent. They don't want to flourish. They don't want to be great. And that culture is all throughout the RNC. They just are kind of okay with being mediocre. They're not trying to be the best version of themselves. They're not hustling. There's a lot of people that just want to work in politics.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-299-7878. That's 800-299-7878. 800-299-7878.
Listen up. Do you or a family member or friend have an outstanding student loan and don't know where to turn or how much you're required to pay? The rules around student loan forgiveness have never been as complex as they are right now. The wrong decision could cost you and your family tens of thousands of dollars in unnecessary loan payments. Attorney Ray Kaplan at Kaplan Law Firm is here to help you make the right decision. And they recently saved a radio listener over $145,000. Kaplan Law knows the rules, knows the laws, knows the regulations and loopholes inside out. Don't pay another cent until you've consulted with attorney Ray Kaplan. Call today to schedule a phone or in-person consultation. Call Kaplan Law Firm at 312-294-8989. That's 312-294-8989. Or visit financialrelief.com and click on Contact. Financialrelief.com, click on Contact. Kaplan Law Firm, 25 East Washington Street in Chicago.
Do relationships today seem harder than ever? In the world of IT management and infrastructure, what if you had a business partner that thinks like you, is easy to work with, and just seems to get it? MS Consulting Services has been doing this for 25 years. But don't listen to us, listen to some actual customers.
This is Bruno. I work for a medical software company. Being in this field, trust is very important. MS Consulting has been my trusted partner for almost 20 years. They are experienced, dependable, and honest. They do not try to oversell. They truly want to help and are willing to go out of their way to prove it.
Hi, my name's Gary. MS Consulting Services was laser focused on understanding the needs of our business. It was a priority to them to understand the needs of our customers. They're not just helpful, they really are experts at what they do.
So if you want a relationship like this, call John at 1-800-MIT-0404. You'll be glad you did.
It is 8:40. Let's check the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Heavy and slow on the inbound Kennedy right now. 65 in from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. You're riding the brakes between the Edens Junction and Belmont. Eichen, an hour 6 from 390 into the old post office and stop and go First Avenue to Pulaski. Stevenson in, jammed up First Avenue to Kedzie. 58 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And the entrance ramp from Route 83 is closed on the outbound side of the Stevenson. There's a car in the ditch there. Tri-State accident, left lane blocked, southbound 294 between Lawrence and the Grand Avenue curve. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds and sun through the rest of this day and a high of 41. Partly cloudy and 27 overnight. Clouds and sun, 43 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, Trump is on the record now with respect to his running mate, at least in the negative. He had this to say at a rally in North Charleston, South Carolina, about the prospect that Nikki Haley would be considered as a VP running mate.
And remember this, when I make a statement like that about Nikki, that means she will never be running for vice president. She will never be running for vice president. Remember that. There are things you can say about people. Do you ever see where, you're really hitting one person, they're hitting you, but it goes to a level. But we're at the level now, I am in particular, bird brain and lots of other things. There are things that when you say that you're never going to have her, so I hope nobody wants her because I think she's absolutely terrible. She's terrible. So you're never going to have her.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's that, huh?
That's
it's
that.
official now?
So I guess that will allay the concerns of some, including Donald Trump Jr. On the other side, the damage control duty continues, and the personnel charged with that duty is expanding to include Mr. Tingle. Mr. Tingle. You remember Mr. Tingle?
Oh, my God.
Chris Matthews.
Chris Matthews. I knew
Sure.
he here. I can't remember.
He was
tingle up my leg. Hey.
Yeah, exactly. He was trotted out to see if he still got the old feeling, give some advice to Team Biden for Joe Obama, fourth term.
Biden's going to get out there and mix it up. He's going to have to get on the corner and meet people and hang out with regular people and give some speeches and perk people up like Harry Truman did back in 1948. You got to sell. You got to sell yourself. He's got to do it. Now, he may make some problems along the way. He will make more gaffes. Of course he will. But isn't it better to have him out there? You know, if I were in the back room with him, I'd make him feel better about himself. I'd just be nice to him and encouraging. That's one thing staffers should do. Encourage the guy. Encourage him when he does something really well. He's had a good couple of days, I think. I believe the last couple of days have been good. I would encourage him to get out there, and I would tell him to meet people because he's really good at that. You sit next to him on an Amtrak train, and you know you're with a real human being, a real person. It's really Joe Biden who's sitting next to him. He's a real person, and he has to get that out with people because I'm not sure Trump is a real person that way. He's not really like a regular person that way, whereas Trump is, but Joe Biden is, and I think he should show it. Show it out.
I've met Trump. He's such a regular person. And Joe Biden getting out meeting people. What was that stunt he did the other day? He brought fried chicken home to a black family and burgers.
Yeah, well, yeah, he brought it home to a
not
family.
brought home, but he went into their home with fried chicken and wanted to hear about their
he did his best Sidney Poitier impersonation. I don't think that's going to work. Yeah, regular guy. Yeah, regular. You know how you know somebody's a regular guy? He sniffs your hair. That's how you know.
That's right.
So that's one piece of advice. Lean into Biden. You know, old Scranton Joe, the guy, you know, from the Amtrak train. Sure. Also enlisted was the former host of Captain Kangaroo, who's now the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, who, again, from what she's seen, you know, this is my favorite line of damage control. You know, behind closed doors, he's Plato. In front of people, he sounds like he should be, you know, transfixed with Play-Doh. But behind closed doors, I mean, what I see.
It called President Biden a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely disagree with that. I work very closely with President Biden, and I'm often with him on foreign trips. He's at the top of his game.
Oh, yeah.
Top of his game. Absolutely. Fine. I'm convinced. I don't think we need to sell past speaking of selling, I don't think we need to sell past the close on this. They say he's at the top of his game. I'm fine with it. Let the American public make their own judgment about what is observably true. Michael Goodwin is New York Post columnist, Fox News contributor. He joins us now. Michael, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. Thank you.
How are you receiving the damage control effort thus far since last Thursday night?
Well, I think it's a helter-skelter operation. They're not sure. They're kind of shadow boxing here because the idea that there's nothing wrong with him is preposterous, and so you can't really go there. You can say, oh, in private. Well, why is he different in public then? So I think this is their immediate reaction to try to put out a fire, which is the Robert Hur report about his memory, about him sort of being, as I said in the column, basically bonkers. And so I think they're trying to stamp it out with every way they can. You know, attacking her, attacking Merrick Garland for not, censoring the report, apparently. And, of course, anybody who dares to write about it or talk about it, you know, what are you talking about? I was with him yesterday. You know, this idea, I mean, the Chris Matthews part that you played, I mean, it's hilarious. Do you want Joe Biden to get out there? Really? I mean, when this administration has spent the campaign of 2020 and the 3 years since keeping him hidden. The New York Times also had an editorial. It's probably where Chris Matthews got the idea. You know, he's got to get out there more. I mean, interestingly, they're not denying the New York Times editorial board that he's got real problems. They think, but part of that is that people don't know him enough and he should get out there and make more of an effort, do more interviews. Well, don't you think he would if he could? I mean, I think that everyone is trying to deny all the pro-Biden, pro-Democratic ticket people. They're trying to deny the reality that A, we have all seen, and B, Robert Hur has confirmed in private. So I'm not sure where they go from here, except on the campaign, you just keep attacking Trump, because nothing unites Democrats like Donald Trump. And so if you just keep banging away on Trump, MAGA, and of course he's giving them lots of ammunition daily almost, that is their plan. And of course, they saw what happened in the New York special election. The Democrats picked up a seat there that they had lost in 2020, and I think that will encourage them that the president's age and problems, cognitive problems, and the border issues can be managed and handled in a swing district. Now, it's a district that Biden carried in 2020, but that's the year George Santos also won the district.
On that district, how much can you really extrapolate from that particular special election in terms of what it means for the suburbs around the country?
You can't overdo it. I mean, no two places are exactly alike. But I think you can read some tea leaves. You can see specific issues. For example, the border and Biden himself. I mean, Tom Suozzi, who had great name recognition, having basically held the essence of that district. There's been redistricting, but he held most of it for 3 terms, and he did not seek re-election because he wanted to run for governor. So I think that it was a Democratic district historically, both for the presidency and for the local Congress members. The changes, along with sort of what was not quite a red wave in the nation in the last election, in the midterms, but in New York, and particularly in Long Island, it was a red wave, and that was one of the seats that flipped. So look, I think that there aren't that many races now, so you're looking forward. What guidance can we take from everything, polling, special election, looking forward to November?
Trump is in court in Manhattan today, pretrial hearing. Ostensibly, the judge there will decide whether or not the trial starts on March 25th as currently scheduled. What's your assessment of the wild card that is the Trump trials? I mean, the others seem probably less likely than not to get to trial before the November election, but the one in Manhattan seems more likely than not to. And so if he is convicted in Manhattan, this is one of the wild cards people are trying to assess. What kind of impact does that have on the race?
My overall view of these cases is that they've probably peaked in their damage to him. In this case, I mean, there's something wrong with all of the cases, right? And in this one is particularly weird, because it's the Manhattan district attorney who doesn't convict anybody of anything. I mean, murder is just you just had a bad day. So this case against Donald Trump, it's based on the porn star. They're always stars, aren't they?
Not a star.
Stormy Daniels, and the money paid, the hush money supposedly paid to her. Now, it's largely based on the testimony of Michael Cohen, convicted perjurer, and the idea is that in doing so and in misrepresenting the payment on his bookkeeping, which I guess became part of business filings, Trump committed 37 or 39 crimes, all of which would be misdemeanors. But through some metamorphosis that only the DA himself understands, they all become felonies. Now, no one in the world knows how that happened, and it's one of the things that tells you these people are just out to get him. They are just out to get him. So even if he's convicted, I'm not sure of what the impact. Obviously, there'll be appeals, and there's a lot of lawyers think the case will eventually be thrown out. You also have the judge in the civil forfeiture case about to rule, and you have Fani Willis, right, testifying in Georgia, I think, today. So there's a lot going on with a lot of these cases. The Supreme Court is weighing the question of immunity, and I do believe that the finding by her that not to prosecute Biden on classified documents is another arrow in Trump's quiver, because why am I being prosecuted? He's not. Now, the lawyers may be able to can make an argument as to obstruction, et cetera, but I think for ordinary Americans, which is really the question we're talking about in terms of impact, I think each of these cases has a problem that people can point to, and Trump does, and people can point to and say, it's persecution. It's persecution, it's persecution, it's persecution. And that argument has a lot of power among a lot of people.
But don't you think the Biden campaign wanted to campaign on this, to just keep Biden hidden and let the court cases take care of Trump?
Yeah, look, I think it was it's not a bad idea on paper, but and even the Republican opponents to Trump. I mean, I remember Ron DeSantis very early. All of them thought that Trump had about a 25% solid approval in the Republican Party, and everything else was soft. And, you know, if he was at 40%, then 15 or 20% of that even could be peeled away by the opponents in the primary system. That was the theory of the case that they all had going into it. They knew he was powerful within the party, but they thought the combination of these cases and just Trump running his mouth, that they would be able to peel away and defeat him ultimately in a one-on-one contest. Well, we see what all these indictments did. They actually hardened all of that support that Trump had, and so it became unbreakable. Nobody could peel away any of it. And he has grown. If you go back and look at the polls at the beginning of 23, let's say, and compare them to now, the difference is largely those cases that have driven up Trump's approval, because people view them as persecution. And as I say, there is logic behind that for virtually every one of these cases. There's something about each of them that says, you did this just because it's Donald Trump, didn't you?
Michael Goodwin, New York Post columnist, Fox News contributor. Michael, thank you as always.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thank you both.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-280-6565. That's 1-800-280-6565. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-280-6565. That's 1-800-280-6565.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
For armed or unarmed security, average isn't good enough. You deserve more. You need more.
Morrison means more.
Morrison Security. More deterrence and prevention with customized programs that fit your budget. Cost-effective, sensible solutions for all businesses and facilities.
Morrison means more.
More peace of mind, knowing your security guards are well-trained professionals with a track record of getting results and serving exactly your needs. Morrison Security personnel are constantly trained for readiness and are prepared for any given situation that can occur at a job site.
Morrison means more.
More reliability of management for quick and effective solutions at your property. Morrison Security is responsive. They are always available to you.
Morrison means more.
More awareness of any challenges you face with protecting people, property, and assets. For armed and unarmed security, don't settle for substandard or average. Security is too important. Contact them and find out how you can get more. MorrisonSecurity.com. MorrisonSecurity.com.
Morrison means more.
and paid for by America First Tax Group. Attention! If you or your business is behind in filing your tax returns, or if you owe over $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS, please listen carefully. The IRS does not joke around and will not stop their collection efforts. If you're tired of the IRS letters, levies, liens, or wage garnishments and would like to get a fresh start, we can help. Due to the financial hardships in the country, the IRS is making it easier than ever to settle tax problems for those who owe more than $10,000. We can help settle your delinquent tax problems, end all collections, and may even reduce your back taxes significantly. Even if you can't afford to pay your back taxes, you can still get the help you need. We've helped thousands of taxpayers just like you, but you must call 800-852-3467 today to stop your tax problem from getting worse. The information is free and the help is real. Call 800-852-3467. That's 800-852-3467. Again, 800-852-3467.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. You playing any golf today, Dan, with any famous people?
No, sorry, nothing to report today.
But how did you hit him yesterday, by the way?
Just a little slow out of the gate.
Okay.
I got more work to do today.
All right. Well, thanks to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, our executive producer. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Today, showers in spots, a high of 41 degrees. It's 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Trump in court. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Former President Trump's in New York City for a hearing about his criminal hush money case. That trial